It's the fourth day of the week, the fifth day of the month. It's another celebration, if you like. It's a Thursday morning. Welcome aboard what we call the AM show. Now, here's what will be coming your way in just a bit. We'll serve you the news, followed by sports, and then we'll get into the news review. Joining us, lawyer and member of the NDC's communications team, Hamza Suini, will be with us. We also have Kofi Tonto. He's a political aide to former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Both of them will join us for a conversation. And then we get into our big stories. Now, coming up today, the NDC has accused the MPP of criminality in the Ablekuma North parliamentary elections, which has left the constituency in limbo 6 months after the 2024 general elections. And this follows a march by the minority to present a petition to the IGP demanding that he provide security for the declaration of the results. We asked this morning, do we have another Sal in the making? Another Santro Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi in the making. We'll be hearing from the different parties, even as we head to Ablekuma North itself to find out what exactly has been happening. But also on our bill this morning, the National Labour Commission has declared the industrial action by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association as illegal. It is directing them to call off the strike immediately over a breach of labor procedures. This is not the first time we're hearing something like this, and the NLC coming in to say that it is illegal. But how are things going to pan out? We're on the ground on day 3 of this escalated industrial action to find out what remedial measures will be brought to play. Of course, we'd love you to join us with your thoughts via the live stream. And also, should we activate the phone lines, be one of those to call. And finally, don't you forget, the AM show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. We'll be right back with the news. Welcome back to the News Belt, and we now start with our first story as the lifeless body of a man believed to be in his 40s was retrieved from the Susan River in Oforikrom in the Ashanti region after a downpour Tuesday evening. Now, the unidentified man was found dead by residents in the morning of Wednesday after he was reportedly swept away by the floodwaters. There's more in this report.
Residents living along the banks of the Susan River at Kingsdown, a suburb in the Oforikrom municipality, were greeted with the sight of a lifeless body. The body was found partially submerged and floating on the river. The residents believe the unidentified man drowned after he was seen in the enclave utterly intoxicated before the heavy rains. Some residents say they saw him tipsy before his death. The National Disaster Management Organization in the area retrieved the body from the stream and has since been deposited at the morgue. An autopsy is yet to be conducted to ascertain the cause of the death. This is the second time something like this has happened. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Patkweku.
Now, moving on from there, the National Intelligence Bureau is still on the hunt for 3 key suspects linked to a massive cocaine seizure in March. On Wednesday, the NIB, in compliance with a court directive, conducted tests on the over 3-ton consignment at its Accra headquarters. Now, the testing is part of the ongoing efforts at prosecuting those involved before the narcotics are destroyed later this month. There's more in this report.
The National Intelligence Bureau, NIB, has supervised the inspection and testing of over 3,300 kilograms of suspected cocaine at its Accra headquarters. The process was carried out in compliance with the court order in the ongoing trial of 3 suspects, Isaac Kwaku, Kenneth Kobina, and Mauku Kudufia, who face narcotics-related charges. In the presence of the judge state attorneys, defense lawyers and technical experts, samples of the seized substance underwent testing, including the cobalt thiocyanate test, which yielded a presumptive positive result. Further laboratory analysis by the Ghana Standards Authority confirmed the substance to be cocaine hydrochloride. The narcotics, valued at over $350 million, were intercepted in March at Pedu Junction in the Central Region, concealed under sand in a tipper truck bound for Accra. Per court directive, the exhibits will be destroyed on June 20 at Bondase. Meanwhile, a manhunt is underway for 3 other suspects who remain at large: Killian Julian Mensah, Jefflian Kwejo Into, and Charles Hagan. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
Now, the West African Examinations Council has raised alarm over rising incidents of examination malpractices in Ghana, identifying the Bono East and Ahafo regions as major hotspots. Now, according to the council, over 18,000 students from these 3 regions were implicated in various forms of exam misconduct during the 2023 academic year. There's more in this report.
Speaking at a stakeholder engagement forum, head of humanities at WAEC, Daniel Nidodu, disclosed that exam malpractice is becoming increasingly worrying and requires urgent intervention. He added that while the Bono East and Ahafo regions topped the malpractice chart, the Ashanti region was not far behind, recording similarly high levels of infractions during the examination.
Bono East and Ahafo regions had the highest number of candidates involved in malpractice, 18,504 in 2023. And I'm giving you a hint that 2024 trend analysis will not be anything different. It will even hit a higher note. Ashanti region showed significant malpractice involvement, and that is 17,633 in 2023. The Central region recorded the lowest percentage of candidates involved relative to their total number of candidates who sat for the exam. Trends in malpractice.
The council cited the most common forms of cheating to include smuggling of foreign materials into exam halls, impersonation, and collusion between candidates.
The council has observed the following trends in examination malpractices: the surge in the number of Telegram and WhatsApp platforms trading questions and answers to questions of ongoing examinations; use of electronic communication devices such as phones and tablets to cheat in examinations; sourcing answers from AI platforms during examinations; photocopying of responses to questions and circulating same to the candidates; using projectors to project answers on the board for the candidates to copy; dictating answers to candidates in the examination halls; invigilators looking the other way while candidates copy, leading to incidents of collusion; inadequate searching of candidates before entry into the examination hall, thereby allowing candidates into the examination hall with foreign material.
In light of these findings, WAEC is calling for enhanced collaboration among key stakeholders, including the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Education, school heads, teachers, and local authorities. The examination body emphasized that not only a united front can effectively address and reduce the prevalence of examination malpractice in the country.
Now, the registrar of the Takoradi Technical University, Professor Moses McLean Abnori, has urged newly sworn-in TUTAG executives to factor in the university's sustainability when negotiating conditions of service. At the ceremony, the new leaders committed to advancing academic excellence, unity, and members' welfare.
The newly sworn-in executive, led by Professor Frederick Boachi-Yadom, pledged to champion the professional welfare of members while fostering unity and supporting the university's academic vision. He called on government to prioritize technical education by providing practical training tools and ensuring timely disbursement of books and research allowance.
We believe that TUTAG has a unique role to play, not only in shaping the future of our technical university, but also in contributing meaningfully to national development. Our vision, therefore, is to ensure that every member of this association is empowered with necessary resources, support system, and opportunity to succeed and make a difference. I would like to express our appreciation to the government for their continued support of technical education. However, we humbly request that the government prioritize technical education. 1, providing necessary tools and materials to enhance practical training. 2, ensuring timely payment of book and research allowance. Let us unite our strength, share our ideas, and work together to move TUTAC to greater heights. The success of this association does not rest on the shoulders of the few, but on the collective effort of all its members. Let us remain guided by our shared values and by our unwavering belief in the power of education, unity, and service.
Registrar of the Takoradi Technical University, Professor Moses McLean Abnori, praised TUTAC for consistently holding management accountable and urged continued collaboration for institutional growth.
Let's stay on the matter of education as the Deputy Get Fund Administrator Alhassan Swalihu Dandawa has criticized the former Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration for neglecting vital educational infrastructure. Now, during a tour of abandoned projects as the SDD UBITS in Wa, he lamented the focus on renaming universities over completing facilities crucial for teaching and learning. Joy News' Rafiq Salam now reports.
The Ghana Education Trust Fund, GET Fund, before the year 2017, had awarded contracts for infrastructure projects in tertiary institutions across the country. More than 15 years after the start of these 10 key state-of-the-art projects, they are yet to be completed. Some have been abandoned by the contractors and overtaken by high-rising weeds and trees. Majority of these stalled projects in the Upper West region are at the Simon Diodon University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, SDD UBITS, and the Dr. Hillel Mann Technical University. The old days of these projects at SDD UBITS is the multi-purpose library complex that was started by the Professor John Atamios administration in 2010. Before the year 2017, construction of the project has reached advanced stage of completion but was subsequently abandoned in the succeeding years. Another is this huge giant 600-bed capacity girls hostel, which was started in 2012 and expected to be completed in 2015, have now been abandoned for 10 years after it was partly roofed and plastered. There are a couple of other projects that construction stalled for 8 years. Construction works on some of these projects have however resumed the last few years, but at a snail's pace. The administrator of GET Fund, Paul Ajay, deeply concerned about the maze of abandoned uncompleted projects across the country, said the project team, led by Deputy Administrator Alhassan Swalihu Dandawa, in motion to visit the affected institutions to abreast themselves with the current state of the projects with a view for urgent actions to be taken to complete them.
We have developed a strategy that we are not going to sit in Accra and be looking at pictures. We'll go over there, see what is real, so that we can find ways and means to complete it. So I want to assure you that our coming here is going to be a blessing.
A visible warrior, Alhassan Dandawa, took a dig at the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration for failing to complete any of the projects that were started by the previous John Atamios and Mahama administrations. What they however did at their best is to change the name of the university to a little-known party apparatchik.
So for me, as what I have come to see, I will go back and then tell my administrator, what they told you about Dombo is true. 8 years, not a single new project. 8 years, the project GET Fund started, which would have changed the entire face of the school. It's not completed. Even I tell people, even Mr. Rafiq Salam, when you go to the net and then Google, he's even more popular than Dombo. So if you get a whole and even name after him, it is better because he has, done better than whom you have gone to name. You claim Mukhtar, Honorable Sunun, started it. Have you named a hall after him?
Now, at the Cape Coast Metro's first COHBS conference, Central Regional Education Director Dr. Juliette Duffier-Otami praised head teachers for their leadership in shaping basic education. She urged them to foster collaboration and teamwork to boost inclusive learning. Abigail Essel-Nkrumah reports.
The first quadrennial conference of heads of basic schools corps is on the theme Transforming Schools, Touching Lives, the Role of Head Teachers in this 21st Century. At the conference of the Cape Coast Metro chapter, the Central Regional Director of Education, Dr. Juliette Duffier-Otami, lauded head teachers for their critical role in inclusive education.
As heads of basic schools in Cape Coast Metropolis, you are playing a key role in making sure that no child is left behind in education. You are also helping to shape the future of our children in our country. Your efforts are not going unnoticed, and I say kudos to you for how far you've raised GES. Dear head teachers, the success of your schools largely depends on you. Your leadership sets the tone for learning, discipline, and growth. A strong leader brings out the best in their staff and students.
Professor Rosemary Sewabosu of the Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, IEPA, noted the transformation of education in the 21st century.
What we have to note is that education has changed and is no longer what it used to be 20 or 10 years ago. The 21st century has brought about new challenges as well as opportunities. You see that we have technology.
Now, residents in Akroso Esukwao in the Kratchi East municipality of the OT region are calling on the Ghana Highways Authority to attend to the steel bridge linking Kratchi East to at least 3 districts in that region. Now, the concrete works on the bridge are wearing off, leaving iron rods exposed, with the rough surface on the bridge becoming smooth, posing a danger to road users. Peter Senu has more in this report.
This steel bridge is located at Akroso Asukoko in the Kratchi East municipality. It links Biakuye, Guan and Kejibi districts, and also the Jasikan municipality to the regional capital, Dambaye, and beyond. This is also the stretch that links the national capital to the northern parts of Ghana. Any structural defects to this steel bridge would mean vehicles would have to sacrifice longer mileage through Nkwanta South municipality to the regional capital, which would also mean extra cost to goods and services. This is the fear and concern for residents in and around Asukoko. This is how dangerous one of the ends of the bridge looks like, with many heavy-duty trucks using it on daily basis. The chief for the area, Nana Odamjemfi, who is also the paramount chief of Akroso Traditional Council, wants some action taken to rehabilitate the over 30-year-old bridge. He describes the state of the bridge as a death trap.
Bridge Asukoko Nsuno, Adani death trap, 1970. President Rawlings' time, and I constructed Sabridge.
This bridge over River Sukoko was constructed in 1970, and since then till now, it has not seen any maintenance. It has become a death trap. The noise when vehicles pass is unbearable, especially at night. The rough surface has also become very smooth. It becomes slippery when rain falls. This has led to several accidents when drivers try to apply their brakes on it. We are appealing to government to take some actions on the bridge for us. If not, we are cut off when the unfortunate happens. Nelson Jabab is the MP for Kratchi East constituency, where the bridge is located. His fears are that any damage to this bridge would mean distraction to movement of goods and services, even within the OT region.
In fact, what we have seen of late is that the boat and not
We apologize for the poor quality of the sound in that video. To our next story now. As millions of Muslims converge in Mecca to observe Hajj, there's another pilgrimage in Mecca open all year round. Umrah, that few truly understand. Joy News' Anas Sabit performed the sacred journey, guided by Ghanaian scholar Dr. Hadir Abdallah, who calls it Islam's best-kept secret for transformation. Anas discovered how its 5 simple pillars could erase sins, rebuild lives, and connect believers directly to Prophet Muhammad's footsteps. Now, his full report, revealing why Dr. Hadir urges Muslims to embark on this journey, is next.
Every year, millions converge on Mecca for Hajj, one of Islam's sacred pillars. But there is another pilgrimage flowing year-round, less known perhaps, but brimming with profound significance. Umrah, the lesser pilgrimage. I am Anas Sabit, and I didn't just come to report on Umrah, I came to experience it. The entire journey begins here at Miqat, not with crowds, but with intentions. The simple white clothes is what is referred to as the ihram. It is more than a clothing. It is a state of mind. It strips away worldly distinctions, marking the start of Umrah. Dr. Al-Hadir Abdallah Ismail is a Ghanaian PhD graduate in Quranic tonation at the Islamic University of Medina. He shares with us more about this journey.
When we talk about Umrah, it simply means to visit this house, which is Kaaba, to perform the worship by circumambulating the Kaaba. And Prophet ﷺ was the first person to do that in Islam, and it has been a major worship that Muslims do come here to worship Allah.
Just like Hajj, Umrah is built on some 5 essential acts, beginning with this pure intention.
The Umrah simply means to do 5 things. First of all, to take the intention from the Miqat. And when you reach here, you circumambulate the Kaaba, which is the Tawaf. You did it 7 times. After the Tawaf, you will do 2 rak'at. And after you finish that, you have to go to Safa and Marwa and do the Safa and Marwa 7 times. And the last one is cutting down your hair. So when you do these 5 things, it means you did the Umrah.
The second pillar of Umrah is the Sa'i, 7 rounds between Safa and Marwa, retracing Hagar's desperate search of water for her son. Dr. Hadir tells us more.
The origination of the Safa and Marwa is going back to when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Ibrahim to come and build this honorable house. He came along with his wife Hajar, and when he was going back to where he came from, he asked Hajar to stay here. So when she needs water, she was going up and down searching for water. This is where we got the Safa and Marwa, and later on she find the water of Zamzam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought, and till now we are benefiting from that water and Marwa. So what Hajar did when she was searching for the water was what we call Safa and Marwa.
But why undertake this journey? Dr. Hadir didn't just explain. He ignited a fire. Let me share his wisdom. First, he says Umrah erases sins like a reset button for the soul. And 2, it battles poverty as Allah enriches those who seek him first.
Prophet ﷺ said, whoever came to do the Hajj, the past sin he did will be forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
He, however, has an advice to Ghanaians and people watching from around the world.
So I will advise them and urge them to give it a try. You just try your best to come here, and inshallah, you will remember what we are telling you about.
Today, I circled an ancient stone, ran where a mother ran for her son, and stood where prophets prayed. Dr. Al-Hadir is right. Umrah isn't lesser. It is a lifeline, a journey.
Well, from the Umrah, let's head into the sphere of business up next. Welcome to our business updates. Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has warned that businesses may increase the prices of goods if the recently introduced 1 Ghana cedi fuel levy impacts their operational costs. Now, although the Minister of Finance assured that the levy wouldn't affect ex-pump fuel prices due to the cedi's strong performance, stakeholders are concerned about potential ripple effects on transport, fares and food prices. Mark Bedu-Abwaje is the CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
These temporary taxes should not be. And already, if you look at the build-up for petroleum prices, there are a number of about 17 or so different levies and taxes. So if you're going to add another, it is important that the people also get to know. As I said earlier, we are not against it. We are of the opinion that at least the rate should have been a bit lower so that we can at least enjoy the benefit of this appreciation that we have a lower prices now. Because we are all expecting that once prices, petroleum products, once they go down, then the fares will also go down. Those who are transporting goods, now they will also be charging and the prices will go down. Now we're all asking that prices should go down. If you keep on introducing a new level of taxes and levies, you don't expect that the prices will immediately go down. So that's what we are asking for. So now I think they should give us some relief. If they really want prices to go down, they should give us some relief. We don't expect that immediately they will increase or introduce new levies and expecting that prices will go down. Business obviously will add up once it increases their cost of production. This is specific. So they should use it for its intended purpose to support the energy sector. We need efficient, reliable and sustainable supply of electricity for our business. Probably that is the main reason why we are supporting it. The main reason why we're also calling on other people to support it, so that we don't have the doomsday that we have experienced over the years, because it's definitely killing businesses. A lot of businesses that collapse under the doom, so we're not able to come back, and we don't want that. So once it is intended for that, we don't have to use it for any other thing. And we also expect regular accountability, that they should regularly be informing us that this is how much we have generated from this levy, this is what we have used it for, so that all of us will be comfortable when we are paying.
Now, as global financial volatility intensifies, African countries, including Ghana, are being encouraged to deepen their local debt markets to reduce reliance on costly foreign borrowing and protect their economies from external shocks. Moody's global head of sovereign risk, Marie Diron, says building strong liquid local currency markets is now critical to fiscal stability. There's more in this Business Desk report.
In an era of rising global financial uncertainty, African nations are being encouraged to build stronger, more resilient local debt markets. Moody's global head of sovereign risk, Marie Diron, has stressed the importance of developing deep and liquid local currency bond markets to protect economies from external shocks and reduce dependence on expensive foreign borrowing. For Ghana, this advice is particularly relevant. The country has been grappling with a significant public debt burden, which stood at around 55% of GDP as of March 2025. This is according to the data from the Bank of Ghana. While efforts are underway to bring these figures slightly below 60% by the end of the year, the pressure to manage debt more sustainably remains high. Moody's also notes that efficient revenue use, longer debt maturities, and reduced reliance on foreign currency borrowing are key to maintaining credit ratings and ensuring continued access to the capital market.
And that's how we cap off the news this morning. Of course, I just served you our business updates, but look forward to sports coming your way up next, right here on this network. And now coming up in sports, on the dusty streets of a forgotten neighborhood where dreams are often buried beneath hardship, football becomes more than just a game. For two boys bound by poverty but driven by passion, it's a lifeline and a symbol of their friendship. Daniel Karanting tells their story in this special report.
Let me tell you a story that transcends the boundaries of a mere game. It's a tale of football, friendship, and dreams. A tale that embodies the essence of a beautiful game. A tale that began in Tumu, a town nestled in the Upper West region of Ghana. In the bustling border town of Hamile, known for its vibrant market activities and cultural diversity, a 6-year-old boy named Mohammed Fuseni faced the heart-wrenching loss of his father. Seeking solace and a new beginning, he relocated to Tumu to live with his uncle. It was in this town, rich with history and community spirit, that Fuseni's path crossed with that of Tommy Abdul Waliu. Waliu too had made Tumu his home, though his reasons were distinct. While Fuseni sought refuge and familial support, Waliu's story was different.
I come from Bele. Unfortunately, my community also has a strange story. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard about Bele Resource Reserve. I think that's the biggest forest reserve in Ghana. That's the largest. Yeah, and then when they gave birth to me, growing up, it was very difficult because there were no schools and all. So at some point, I had to question my parents why there were no schools in the community. And then my dad was like, we are on a relocation program. The government is like, we are in the reserve and then we are disturbing the animals and all that. So they have to relocate us at some point. So they cannot put any permanent structures there. If even they build a school, they will have to abandon it at some point because we have to relocate. Yeah, so fast forward, my dad had to bring me here. I was only 7 years. We came here in 2008 when my dad brought me here.
I was in class 2 when he came and met me. But before he was in class 1, we used to play friendly matches, class 1 and class 2. So whenever we are on the pitch, he would beat my people. Every day he would beat my people, so I would be annoyed. If I also get the ball, I also want to pay back. So from there I said, nah, this guy is a good player. So let me be, I want to be his friend. So as time goes on, we'll be in one team, no matter what, because we are all in the same town here. So when he came and met me in class 2, from there I said, now I've gotten a player, so my team is safe. So I will win matches, so I won't be crying, because I used to cry a lot. When they score, I will cry because I love football.
Thus, a friendship was born. The two boys were inseparable on and off the field. In the classrooms and playground of United Basic School, one of the town's oldest basic educational institutions, Waliu and Fuseni created memories that still live with them today.
Yeah, so this is where it all started. So when I came to Tumu in 2008, my father brought me here. There's another neighboring school, just like we saw there. I think those ones, like they've made more name than this school in terms of academics. But my father said, any school you go is about the seriousness and the mindset. Doesn't matter where you school. And I've never regretted it. I passed my exam here and then I went far. But what I believe in is that the opportunities, the footballing opportunities Zongo School gave me, I wouldn't have gotten in any other school into me. So if I had the chance of attending primary school again, it's definitely going to be here. And so then if you look around, this is our pitch. When we were small growing up, this pitch used to look very big because it was under 12. But today it looks like it's not even up to a standard pitch. I don't know if it's because we've grown or something like that. Today I see this pitch and then I laugh. Hey, this pitch, the way we used to worry ourselves here, you come, you pick knocks, fresh injuries, you go home, your mom will complain, but still it's here. So these are some of our classrooms. We'll come to school dressed in the tee and then the bread uniform. Then we wear our boots instead of cross or any other decent wear. So first break, we are playing match. Second break, we are playing with another class. Then close, you have to wait, and then we used to close around 1:30. We wait, then we play another match for about 30 minutes or 1 hour. So that was how the love and then the passion we had for football looked like at the time.
For Fuseni though, playing football wasn't always a straightforward pursuit. He balanced his studies with assisting in his uncle's shop, a responsibility that often left little time for leisure. Determined to play, he had to devise clever ways to fulfill his shop duties while sneaking in moments to enjoy the game he loved.
Okay, actually, when I came, my uncle took good care of me. He sent me to school. So, but he engaged me in a shop. I should be managing the shop. So, because of that, I can't have chance to go and play the football. So sometimes I have to beg my headmistress or headmaster to come and beg him before he give me the chance to go and play football. So I used to suffer, but I know how to play. He himself is aware, but because I'm managing this, so that he always tell me that if I go, who will sell the store? So I should be there in the selling.
Bawa Zachary, his uncle, who embraced the role of a father figure early in Fuseni's life, reflects on the challenges of balancing parental responsibilities. He strove to instill in the young Fuseni the values of hard work and perseverance, all while supporting his booming football aspirations.
Actually, it's no easy move, but as we started, because I'm a businessman, I'm able to support him small, and then he also like playing ball and other things. So I think I've given him the chance. Sometimes it's very difficult, but I have to have patience and then consider other things to let him do whatever he likes. And if it's good, I also support.
Their passion for the game and undeniable talent saw them selected to represent the Upper West region in the 2013 Milo Games, where they faced current Black Stars forward Abdul Fattah Isahaku, who was the captain of the Northern Regional team.
I would say growing up, that had been my biggest exposure. And there I had the opportunity to meet Stephen Appiah. By then he had just retired. So he was the icon of the tournament. One good thing was also that I had the opportunity to play with Fattah Isahaku. Yeah, he came, he represented the Northern region. He was the captain for Tamale. And then fortunately for them, they won the competition and then they represented Ghana in Kenya. That would have been like a great opportunity for me and then a memorable achievement if we had qualified from that competition and then represented Ghana in Kenya. But we're not very fortunate. We won our first game and then lost the rest of the 3 matches woefully.
Waliu, the eldest of 4 siblings, hails from humble beginnings. Despite the challenges of his impoverished upbringing, he always recognized the transformative power of education in reshaping his destiny. Although he had dreams of becoming a professional footballer, he also had a burning desire to attain the highest level of education, a desire that caused his path with Fuseni to part ways temporarily. After BEC, Waliu gained admission to Canton Senior High School, Tumu's finest, with Ghanaian musician Wiyala and celebrated sports journalist Fentu Tahiru Fentu as alumni, while Fuseni enrolled at Tumu Senior High Technical School.
So there's something I believe, because in football there's a lot of mathematics on the field. So I don't believe footballers shouldn't be doing well in class. So first, before I got to class 4, I was on top of my class. Then when I got to senior high, I was playing football, but not so much. A lot of my attention was on the on the academics, because there I had a goal, because I'd wanted somebody to sponsor my education. And then before you get a scholarship, so I was thinking about scholarship, but before you get one, you have to perform like exceptionally well in your WASI. And so I took the challenge upon myself that no, I have to excel in my WASI, I have to make good grades so that I can also be competitive, or I can also increase my chances in getting the scholarship. And so that was what I did. So I paid less attention to the football and then paid more attention to my books. So there I emerged as the overall best student of my year group. That was 2020, was the whole municipality. And so that boosted my chances of securing the scholarship. But MasterCard, before you get it, your results should be at least a year old, and then you should be academically talented. So I had to wait and then put in the application. I also had to bring the story of my village, because there's also special provision for internally displaced persons. Even though I don't fit in that category well, anybody who hears my story will pay special attention to it. I applied with some other colleagues, but immediately I sent in my application. The following month, they had called me, the secretariat, where they wanted to find out that they were like to provide evidence of the fact that I said my community had been relocated and all that. Fortunately, I had received a letter from the Forestry Commission attesting to that fact. So I was kind of safe. So I was cool.
Fuseni had different fortunes after WASI and was ready to ditch school completely to pursue his dreams of becoming a footballer.
Actually, when we completed one of my papers there, it wasn't good, so I have to go and better it. So he started for 1 year and continued, but I started about 3 years, 4 years. Completed 2020, I went to school 2025. So because of that, when I just completed 2020, so I got an opportunity at Sunyani to go and teach from basic school. So when I went, I said, no, I have to look for a team around here and play. So I was going around, then I saw a football field, then I went. There was a team there called Young Goldfish. So I went and joined them. So I joined about 1 year. Then I left the teaching. I just went to their camp straight because the teaching there was not, I just like the football. So when I went there, frankly speaking, it's not easy, but I've managed for 2 good years in the academy. So anger, there's a lot of anger. Why the manager too, you will never see him. We even played 3 consecutive matches and we lost. He said he would sack us from the house there, but still, every day we still go and play. You know, when he took good care of me, but the hunger was too much in the camp. So finally, they had to come and sack us where he went the rent for us because he couldn't renew the rent. So they brought police. They were throwing our things and saying, "Hey, to be a footballer, so easy."
Dejected and at a crossroads, he received a call from his longtime friend, who was now a second-year student of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, asking him to make a trip all the way to Kumasi to help his college in the inter-college football games, an invitation he couldn't pass up.
So from there I said, nah, let me come back. So I was on my way, then my friend called me that they had some inter-colleges games, so I should come and help me. I said, no, I'm not a student, that they won't be able to identify. So when I went and helped them. We crowned the champions there.
Yes, and then this is him. This is when he joined me at KUST for the college games. Yes. And this myself and him again. Yeah, same event. That was the college games. Yes.
Concerned about his friend's bold decision to pursue a football career at the expense of his education, Waliu took matters into his own hands. He applied to KNUST on Fuseni's behalf, and the outcome was a resounding success.
Well, he had to even help me to apply for their school because I said I can't go there. He said I know I can do it. So when I went and met him there, so I was happy. So we used to play ball.
So he helped you apply for?
Yeah, he did everything. I was even asleep when he called me and said, bro, you have gotten admission. I said, really? I just prepared. And that's how.
So how did you feel like walking into KNUST campus?
Yeah, it's no easy because that's the best school in Ghana so far. Because to me, that's the best school. I mean, I don't check Winnie Bar because I've been seeing their post bar. KNUST is the best school because their facility, everything. Because you will never be dirty. Everything is total. You see, style. There's shuttle. There's no stress. AC is there. Everything.
After parting ways 8 years ago, following high school, the friends have reunited on the KNUST campus. Last year, they also joined Tumu-based Division 2 side Soccer Babies FC, rekindling their shared passion for football.
So last season, they registered me for the Division 2, myself and my very close friend. And so we actually started from Division 3. So we played Division 3, we finished second, and then we were promoted to Division 2. And then we topped the Division 2 table. So that is a special achievement for Ask Me. From Division 3 into Division 2, Ninos, and then you're able to top. Even middle league, we finished 3rd out of 6 teams. Though that tells you the quality of players we have in the team. Yes, and so that's how the academic journey too has been. So now in my final year now, I'll be finishing school in August. Yeah, so I just have like 3 months to go. Yes, so and I'll be leaving for school very soon. I'm also reading land economy at KNUST.
From the sunlit pitches of their youth to the haloed walls of university, their journey has come full circle. What began as a shared passion for football at a tender age of 6 has blossomed into a profound bond that has withstood the test of time and distance. Now as teammates once more, they stand side by side on the field, not just as players, but as brothers who have navigated life's challenges together. Their reunion is more than just mere coincidence. It is a testament to the enduring power of friendship and the unbreakable ties forged through the shared dreams and experiences from Tumu with love.
Welcome back on the AM Show. Time now for the news review. And the AM Show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. Now, let me ask you, are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Well, Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such an investment, and I'll tell you why. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit right here in Accra. And now, we're inviting you. Invest in our new development, Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility in the heart of Accra. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. At Waylead Properties, we provide you with 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay memorable. All you have to do now is note these numbers and give us a call. 0240 111 119 or 0504 499 999. You can also visit our website, www.waylead.org. Joining me now for the news review segment, we have a lawyer and member of the NDC's communications team, Hamza Suini, and also political aide to former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Kofi Tonto. He joins the conversation as well. Kofi, Hamza, good morning.
Good morning to you, bro.
Good morning, Ben. And good morning to your cherished viewers out there.
I guess it's a morning of the beards. The beard gang. Only different levels.
I know, right?
I think I'll be grandpa. This is Papa.
Mine is more tuned in such a way that I can appear before a judge without any issue.
You can appear before a judge, and of course, he just pointed to the legal issue where going to court would mean that. That's always something I found rather interesting. You remember when this conversation came up about the vestiges of colonialism and even the wigs and everything and the robes in our part of the world?
Yes. I think that I have always said that maybe Africans are more conservative than we think of ourselves. So sometimes change is a little bit difficult when it comes to our settings, but that is the way we are.
I'm putting you on the spot, but do you think some of these things should change over time?
Absolutely.
These robes, this wig, and all of
Absolutely. I think that because of my exposure, because I've had the opportunity of practicing briefly even in the United Kingdom, and I was not subjected to this hell of wearing robes and stuff like that. In limited cases, yes, when you appear before the Supreme Court, maybe you would wear the robes, but not with a wig. So clearly, we can begin to have that discussion. Our weather is not friendly to some of these.
Yeah, the heat.
So I have to be careful with what I say. But
I know. But Kenya has had,
there are many who would argue because of their conservative approach that this regalia defines the legal profession. It makes the legal profession what it is. And so for them, maybe they don't see the reason why we should move away from it. But it depends on the individual. I feel that the time has come for us to begin to have those discussions. At least we should make it a bit accommodating and relaxing for us to even appear before a judge and be ourselves. Right.
And Kofi, I'll come to you on those same points, but I just wanted to add, because he's a lawyer, I just want to add as well, the former director of the Ghana Law School, or the Ghana School of Law, talking about, access to education. And then Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekbo's push for access to be broadened so that the Makola monopoly will be broken. What's your quick take on that? I mean, since we started here, I just want us to end.
Yeah, I think that it has been long overdue, to be honest with you.
Right.
But we must be careful with the kind of wholesale production of lawyers that we intend to do. It is important for us to begin.
And Sansari says we're already churning out
yes, but it's
lawyers who can't even move a court. That's what he says.
Oh, but it depends. I would not.
And he used churn out. And churn out is used in a negative connotation.
Yeah, but
it's more like a fan belt. We are just producing.
I don't think that is the case, because even if you look at our ratio in terms of the numbers, it is not encouraging. Ghana should have gone past these numbers when it comes to lawyers in the industry. But I think what we need to do is simply to open up Makola, make it possible for many of these institutions to be able to run independently. But when it comes to our examinations, there are some key courses that we can examine centrally, that Makola should still continue to be in charge. For instance, if you look at the United Kingdom, we have what we call the BSB, the Bar Standards Board. So you can go to any institution at all to do your professional course. But when it comes to these key courses, maybe criminal litigation, civil and advocacy, these courses, they are centrally examined. So irrespective of the school you go in, sit for the exam, and you write. And at the end of the day, they publish the names of those who are qualified to be called to the UK bar.
Right.
And when that is done, then you now begin to compete for pupillage slots within the United Kingdom. And it's difficult to get a pupillage in the UK.
Yeah.
Extremely difficult. So you may have been called to the UK bar, but access to pupillage would make it impossible for you to practice within the jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But interestingly, there are many other ways you can equally practice even before you are given pupillage to do. So these are some of the discussions we should have. It's not just enough to shut down Makola in terms of that monopoly status, but we must be looking at putting in the structures to ensure that at least those who are producing are actually up for the market and can do the job that they have been trained to do.
I have touched a nerve there. I see you are waxing lyrical. Kofi, what would be your, I mean, you can share your thoughts on all of these.
I'm not in the legal profession, but at least
you have observed.
A few friends that I know find pride in wearing the regalia. You know.
I know.
I know friends who like to wear their white shirt with their black blazers and
because it shows you.
They cherish it.
Yes.
So for me, I think the issue is more on the systemic issues relating to making sure people have enough access to education, law education, etc. But then the question is, as you rightfully put it, you are churning out hundreds and now almost thousands every year. But 90% of such lawyers are within Accra and Greater Kumasi.
Yes.
So what is the point? Are you going
there
to
are some regions with practically no lawyers.
You know, so
the upper regions. I think one of them.
Upper East, Upper West, very low numbers. Yeah. You know, so the question is, are you churning out a lot of lawyers just for them to sit in Accra, become overly saturated? How does it affect the quality of the practice?
But at the same time, you can't compel them to practice in certain places.
One thing you also need to take into consideration is the culture. For instance, the northern region.
Okay.
Even if you are a lawyer there, it is going to be difficult
to get a case.
Their nature is such that they don't really like this idea of taking people to court and rushing here and there. They would want to resolve it in another way.
Yeah.
So that is why the numbers So that is why the numbers in the northern region appears to be a bit low. Okay. If you take Upper East, Upper West. So it's
cultural implications. Exactly. Okay, that's fine. But it doesn't change the fact that 90% of the lawyers will be in Greater Accra and then Greater Kumasi.
That's true.
So for me, do we want to just produce lawyers? But then it's a case of democracy and people's right to education. If somebody wants to pursue law and they have the requisite knowledge and they can do it, why deny the person? You know what I mean? So, and then also, if we are producing quality lawyers, they may not necessarily even be here to practice here. They can gain the education. I mean, don't we have a Ghanaian justice in Gambia?
It's not one. We've had a number of them.
A number of them.
I think some have gone to other jurisdictions.
Absolutely. And now governments, MPP started it. Now Mahama is seriously looking into it. Exploitation of talent, human capital outside. So why not? So I think it's a broader conversation we have to have. But I'm not a legal person. I'm just sharing my opinion as a layman.
With your friends who like to use that. I mean, yes, I know some of them who like the whites, but the gown and all of that, I know quite a number who are not exactly enthused about it.
And just let me add this though, because every jurisdiction has their own legal processes. So the fact that you become a lawyer here doesn't necessarily mean you can easily become a lawyer in another country. I just want to add that. I'm just saying that once you have the foundation, it's easier to, just as you did in Britain, now you've been able to come here to also practice. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
I mean, there are different dynamics. Some are even common law jurisdictions, others are civil law jurisdictions. Others combined, like in Canada, where you can. So it depends on all of that.
Also, even in the United States, depending on the state you find it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so this was my thing I threw at you people. So now let me have your thoughts. If you can limit it to about 1 minute, it will be fine. You know how we do it. If there's something on your mind that you'd like to talk about, just briefly before we get into the papers.
So
I'll start with you.
Mine is in politics, and it's just ad hoc. There's one thing that we always complain about, Hamza. Typically we say, you give something to politicians, and then they will do it, and the quality is below standard, etc. But increasingly, I'm finding that challenge within the private space as well. It's a personal problem. So I have a few apps that I use on my phone. And because this is a very big platform, I wouldn't want to mention any name. But it has to do with some of the major telcos and some of the major banks. It's almost like every day the app is not working. Every day the app is not working. I went to Kumasi and I had to wait 3 days to access my bank app. So the question is, we are always blaming politicians and the public service, and we are always putting out or churning out terrible quality, this, but then you go into the private space and you find the same challenges. So,
for some of them, their internet is almost always down. Go to the bank
so my point is it really about a section of Ghanaians, which is those in politics, or is it an orientation problem as a society, how we go about implementing solutions? You know, and it's something that, because as I speak to you, since yesterday, I've been trying to access my bank's app.
So how does it make you feel then when Sam George talks about, you know, he's trying to get the telcos, whip them up, provide better quality service, data, calls, and all of that? What do you think about that?
Of course, that is why he's there, except that he spoke too much. And his own words are catching up to him.
Okay.
But the basis that he needs to challenge them to do better, of course, that is why he's the minister. And we all encourage him to hold them accountable to do better. And definitely no two ways about it. But when it comes to Sam George and the things he said and what he has delivered so far, oh, my brother, do you really want me to go into it?
Oh, I'm just asking,
Sam
basically,
George talking
is it linked to the work he's doing now?
No, the things he criticized Esla about. And what he's doing now. It's not about him.
Is it about the re-registration? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's just an example. It's about the things he said about CST. You know, Sam George actually sat on TV and said that if President Mahama does not remove the CST in his first budget, he will openly come on TV and attack him. I can go on and on.
I see.
The things he said about SMP, which is the market share and the decisions Esla took. The things he said about data prices. I mean, we can go on and on. But I don't want today to be about Sam George, because my issue really is about quality implementation of solutions for Ghanaians, whether in the private or the public sector. Okay. And I find that the challenges abound even in the private sector that we expect them to do better.
All right,
yeah.
Hamza.
Yes, I think even before I go to my issue, let me briefly state that in opposition, your number one responsibility is advocacy. And so if in opposition, the Honorable Sam George was engaged in his mandate of advocacy, it would be improper for you to brand that as talking too much. There's a vast difference between governance and your role as an opposition leader or member of parliament. And so now, as a minister responsible for communications, you should expect that what Ghanaians require from him is not talk. And so, action. And I believe he's committed to that. It might take a bit of time for you to begin to appreciate the steps that he's taking at that ministry. Because at that stage, it is not more about talking, it's about action. And he's engaged in that. So give him a bit of time and be rest assured that many of the things that we promise that we'll do, as far as our manifesto is concerned, related to that sector, he's confidently championing that. As for the communication service tax you made reference to, you see, sometimes we need to appreciate the context within which statements are made. These are the same people who decided to take this government to the cleaners for removing the taxes like emissions levy. That we promised that we were going to remove.
There was no.
It was.
There was no emission tax.
We've had these discussions.
It was zero rated. It was zero rated.
We allowed you to finish.
Fair enough. I'll respond to it.
I allowed you.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Then the likes of e-levy. They took us to the cleaners. They asked where we're going to get money to run the country based on the very promises that we made to the good people of this country that we're going to take off. And so if at the time we were introducing communication service tax, we looked at the situation and we thought that it was not proper. Because, Ben, what time did they introduce it? At the time that we were taking the nation through draconian economic measures with serious implications on the economic livelihoods of the Ghanaian people. You cannot even underestimate the devastating effects of the domestic debt exchange program on pensioners, investors, bondholders in this country, and the consequential impact on banks. and how distressed banks became. So you needed to understand the context within which many of these statements were being made.
Right.
And so to take it out of the context and begin to run with it is simply insincere. And in any case, I can't expect anything better from the New Patriotic Party because that has always been their stock.
Is that a fair statement to make? You can't expect anything
of course, but for the last 8 years. For the last 8 years.
Hamza, I feel that is...
I don't,
Hamza,
in all honesty, that's my opinion. I don't expect anything better.
Well, to say you don't expect anything better is to suggest something I don't think is...
And you see, now,
Hamza,
not to belabor the point.
Are you minded to withdraw that?
No, I don't. That is my opinion. You see, this is a political party I have been conscious when it comes to trying to understand their ways.
The entirety of the party. Is that fair?
Yes, that's my opinion. You may disagree with it, and you are allowed to.
So you don't think it's right to withdraw that? I don't think that it is a political party that upholds the principles of truth and integrity, and I've always maintained that. Okay. All right.
So now to what is on my mind. Of course, eat.
So it has to be brief.
Yes, I just want to take advantage of your platform to wish my Muslim brothers across the length and breadth of this country well as we prepare to celebrate Eid, the biggest in the year as far as our festivities are concerned, and to also appeal to the corporate world that this is the time for them to step into their corporate social responsibility measures to see how they can help many of these Zongo communities and Muslim communities, because you know that a chunk of them are engulfed in poverty. So if you have a company, whether in the private sector or even government institutions, this is the ideal time.
Okay.
As far as the Islamic calendar is concerned, for them to begin to engage in tangible contributions to uplifting the lives of these communities. It's not just going to throw food at them. We must consider the possibility of coming out with toilets, school blocks, furniture for Islamic schools. That is the way you can contribute meaningfully.
Thank you, Hamza. You have some reactions,
my brother,
just make them a bit brief so that we can get into the papers, because this is just on the back of your own shared thoughts.
Speaking of that.
Okay, Kofi.
Because he went first. So let
me just lay the ground rules.
I'm very brief.
Relax, Kofi. Relax. He just said he would respond to, and I want to lay some ground rules. No. We have to get into the newspapers. He made a point. You have reacted to the point. If he comes in and you want to react again, I don't think it will. So please, Hamza, please bear with me on this one. I can't come back to you, Kofi.
Speaking of that,
that's not fair.
First of all, Hamza, I don't know, and I say this in all sincerity. I don't know, is it Happy Eid or what's the right way of
Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak? Okay. So happy Eid Mubarak to all our Muslims.
But you can still say Barka de Salah, right?
Yes, you can. Right.
Okay, so Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. Unfortunately, the Hajj issue has been a disaster.
What are you talking about? The Hajj village?
Yeah, and
the Hajj village.
Musa Dankwa, no. Those in Hajj. Musa Dankwa tweeted something last night. He said, Ghana Hajj Task Force, totally disorganized and shambolic in MENA. So we sincerely encourage those responsible to try and put things in place.
Right.
Make sure people who are in is it Mecca or Saudi Arabia are properly taken care of. I don't say this with any malice. I'm just saying it to ensure that people get the right treatment. Emission tax, my brother, was 0 rated. No Ghanaian was getting charged emission tax. You can say that you removed the law or you took away the law, but emission tax was 0 rated. So don't create the impression as though people were getting charged for emission tax and you removed it. It's not true. Now, on the issue of sincerity, if I go into
tax.
No, of course, I'm responding to a particular tax you mentioned.
Also even inaccurate.
So I'm just saying.
Kofi, you said you'd be brief. So
yeah, I'm trying to be brief, but he won't allow me.
Hamza, please, no interruptions. I beg you.
You see, Hamza, it's very sad what you just said. It just goes to confirm what President Mahama said, that when politicians are looking for power, they say anything to get power. You just confirmed it. That when you were in opposition, it's activism. So you just say anything. No, you don't just say anything.
In that same vein, then it would spread to all of you, right?
Don't quote.
So are you suggesting
we don't just say anything. And that is why they played our videos to us. And that is why we are playing your videos to you.
Context. Right. I told you to be mindful of the context.
What context?
Was.
What context?
You go ahead.
The time Sam George was talking about CST,
Hamza.
do you remember the year Sam George was talking about CST?
Hamza,
because
just let him
Ben, CST conversation didn't happen 2023. CST conversation happened earlier in our governance. So when you bring in COVID, when you bring in...
I don't remember,
I think our 2018, 2019.
And what was the state of the economy going into
2018, 2019?
I mean, those are conversations.
We didn't have DDEP.
Those are conversations.
No, we didn't have DDEP. We didn't have the things you are claiming.
You see,
we didn't have the things you are claiming.
To me.
Please.
You are not Kofi, you are not
Hamza.
Okay.
Kofi, you are not
so I think your point is...
I told you that the economic situation of the country...
So in other words, you are saying they are being hypocritical on some of these points. Is that not what you are saying?
I'm saying
they are not living up to what they said.
I'm saying that Hamza is lying because at the time you are referencing, we didn't have...
Lie is a strong word.
No, he's allowed to. I don't take offense to some of
he just took us to the...
But the point I am making is that if at the time you were introducing the economic situation in the country was dire...
Of course. But Hamza...
And now we are inheriting at a time that you have subjected another draconian economic measure of DDEE.
At the time we were having CST conversation, we didn't have DDEP.
But was that the only economic mess?
But you are citing it as an example.
I think,
of course.
I think. Do you know what? Do you
when
know something?
You come and tell us you can fight Galamsey in 1 week and you don't fight it, you are telling us it's advocacy. What are you saying? What are you saying? When you come and cry about Galamsey, when you were making noise in opposition, you're telling us it's advocacy.
The entirety of your presidency was engulfed in Galamsey.
Gentlemen,
when your vice president even lost his voice in the fight against Galamsey, when he was number one, number two man in the land, when your original chairman was an embodiment of Galamsey.
Hamza Suhini, order in court. Do you want me to strike my gavel? Order in this court, please, gentlemen. So let's move on from here. But for the ordinary Ghanaians, for me, for the people watching you this morning, I'm sure whether NDC or NPP, all they are thinking is the ills, the problems. You mentioned the Hajj issue. This wouldn't be the first time. We've had so many issues. If you have a task force, we expect better. We just want our problems solved. So to both of you, I think the ordinary Ghanaian watching you now is just thinking, okay, the banter and everything, that's it. Simple. That's all right. Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. Let me just, on the back of this robe and wig thing, so we can move on. Reverend Latte, who himself dabbles in law, says robes and wigs are mandatory in England and Wales in the High Court and Supreme Court. I think Hamza mentioned that at the Apex Court, you might have to do that. So, but he says in the High Court and the Supreme Court, and he actually is in the UK. And so he also says it is impossible to run a country without taxation. So when politicians tell the people before general elections that they will not impose new taxes, they are not being truthful. And I guess that also feeds into the recent 1 Ghana cedi on 1 litre of fuel, your energy levy add-on. All right, let's get into the papers now. The Daily Graphic newspaper says 1 Ghana cedi energy sector levy to tackle $3.7 billion debt. That's according to Finance Minister Kasiala Toforsen. Inflation drops to 2-year low. Government statistician advises households, entities to limit discretionary spending. Per some of our checks, it's almost 3 years, right? Anyway, a 3,319.66 kilogram substance tests positive for cocaine. NIB said to destroy exhibits worth over $350 million. Government won't interfere with corruption cases, according to President Mahama. On the back page, Japan reaffirms support for Volivo Bridge project. And isolation, social distancing, good hygiene essential to stop Mpox spread. And that's where I'm going to start, because Mpox, it has hit us. There have been a number of cases across different areas, and it's still there. It's as contagious as any of the other contagions you may know of. So the Ghana Health Service has advised Ghanaians to practice good hand hygiene and avoid close contact with suspected cases of monkeypox or Mpox infected individuals. It said those were key steps that could be taken to stop the spread of the virus in a community. So isolation, if you suspect, social distancing, good hygiene, wash your hands often. And I see people go and they, like, literally they've gone to do number 2, right, in a washroom, and they come out, some don't wash their hands, and they are going around shaking people's hands. Or they will just they open the tap, do this, and they are gone. Like, hey, no soap or anything. It's I don't know whether I've seen it so many times, and sometimes I cringe. It's crazy. Japan has reaffirmed its commitment to finance the construction of the Volvo Bridge over the Volta Lake, a critical component of the Eastern Corridor Road project. Now, the assurance was given by the Senior Executive Vice President of Japan International Cooperation Agency, Miyazaki Katsura, during a courtesy call on President Mahama at the Jubilee House last Tuesday. Let me, for now, wrap with this story, and then I'll throw it to you. Government won't interfere with corruption cases. And President John Mahama has reaffirmed his commitment to preserving the independence of Ghana's anti-corruption agencies, assuring that his administration will not interfere with ongoing investigations or pressurize the agencies to drop the cases. The president gave the assurance during a meeting with a delegation from the African Union Advisory Board Against Corruption State Party Review Team at the Jubilee House in Accra last Tuesday. And it says a lot about this, but I think we get the thrust of the message. Any quick reactions or reflections on these matters? Hamza, starting with you.
Before that, let me quickly state that when it comes to the problems associated with the Hajj, it appears to be the case that anytime there's a change of government and there's a new leadership, their first year, they have these challenges. So as a country, we must begin to... Are
you trying to justify
No. That's why I'm saying that as a country, we must begin to engage to see how we can have a standing secretariat for the activities.
I thought we had some sort of...
semblance, but
some semblance
anytime there's a change of government, the new government runs the show. So there's a need for us to have a standing secretariat that ultimately would be under the office of the...
When you say standing secretariat, I don't know what you think about that, which will also bypass... which will also circumvent political... because I think if we had...
under the office of the national chief imam. Ben, if you allow me, because...
Okay, you go ahead.
Yes, so
we'll come back to that point.
At least it can be under the offices of the national chief imam so that they can better manage the affairs of Hajj. But when it comes to these challenges, it happens. When they were first sworn into office in 2017, we had a similar challenge. Because that year, I was preparing to go to Hajj, but because of the challenges associated with it...
Again, Hamza, I was asking, are you going to justify?
I am following it.
Okay.
But the picture he has painted here this morning is not the kind of picture I have. So, but in the spirit of making the operations better, that is the more reason why I'm not saying he's lying.
So it's not the kind of picture you have, but you do agree that things could be better.
It could be that many of the concerns that he has raised is legitimate.
Okay. But I also know, Kofi, before I come to you, that...
Ben, are you going to let me?
I will let you land. But I know that Saudi Arabia, as far as I know, this year, starting from last year, this year, there are more stringent measures.
Absolutely,
and
yes.
many countries, I've heard of Nigeria even.
Yeah, many of them are having challenges. But you see, that is not even the crux of the matter. You see, whichever way you look at it, we made a promise to make the operations of Hajj better.
That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. So we accept that responsibility as a new government.
Thank
because
you.
we have shown commitment, even in terms of the fares,
right,
are reducing it in excess of 74,000 to 962,000.
Right.
Something that the MPP couldn't do in the last 8 years, even under the reign of a Muslim vice president. So it's something we take pride in. And trust me when I tell you that we are committed to making these operations better. But having said that,
you have a task force. You have a task force.
Having said that,
I'll let you come to
Mahama's
the issues from the newspaper, but he has a reaction, so it's only...
Hamza, I didn't politicize this. I even said that, I was very magnanimous in my commentary, and I didn't paint any picture. I read a post from Musa Dankwa. That's all I did. You see, I am very careful when it comes to religion. I'm not a Muslim, and I know very little about Islam. I simply read a statement, and I said we should do everything to avoid these challenges. And I left it out there.
And I've given you the assurance that we'll do everything.
But you
so Kofi,
bringing in vice president,
Kofi, we can leave it there.
I mean,
but I also think.
Are they not the facts?
The more we
are they not the facts? What I made
politicize religion, I think the better it will be for all of us. And I'm speaking generally. So
yes, I agree, Ben, and I agree with him that it is important for us to depoliticize it. But the most important thing is that I think that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia must take a cue, because remember, he was the one who introduced politics into the Hajj issues. told us that he needed a
Hamza,
Muslim as a
Hamza,
president.
let's go
Hamza,
past
So they
go
should be
there,
running away from
if
their
you
ways.
go there, we'll
These
do
are
the
the facts.
politics.
I don't want
If you go there, we'll do the
generate
politics.
You are
If you go there, we'll do the politics.
That you are not
Hamza,
doing politics.
Hamza,
If you go there, we'll do the politics.
Let's
No, you are
not.
allowed
Let's
to.
not.
Very
Kofi,
respectful
I'm trying to
and sensitive
You are allowed to
the
do
relation.
I'm trying to de-escalate.
If you want
from
to
his
go
end,
there,
so-
we'll go there.
so
Let's
relax,
go there.
relax.
I'm more than willing because the facts
we are not.
politics.
We are not going there.
It's
we are not
not
going
a
there.
fact that under them Hajj
These
was
issues,
in the region of 74,000.
Hamza,
It's a
Hamza,
fact.
please.
Is it not a fact that under us is 62,000?
Okay.
These are facts. And I've told you
If
that
it goes on
we
like this,
made a promise,
I'll
and we are committed
let
to
your
it.
microphones be muted. Thank you. Oye. I beg of you, politicians. Some lines I don't like crossing.
That's why I've kept quiet.
Don't bring politics into ethnicity. Don't bring politics into religion. I beg you, guys.
You see.
Let's focus on
Ben,
this.
but this is important.
No, but
Your station,
I also think it's
your
unfair.
station is
I think it's unfair. Hamza, let me have my say here. You can have your differences, political differences. I mean, after all, in the elections, there was talk about, even in the MPP, there were people talking about, oh, a Muslim candidate, this and that. You don't need to highlight that. And you can have your differences without pointing to the fact that whatever he may have done, why? Because he's Muslim, did he come for only Muslims? He didn't come for only Muslims. He was a Muslim vice president.
That was the invitation.
He didn't mean that. So I think it's a bit unfair for you
to
go down that road. I don't think it's right.
Is the Hajj affairs? Didn't we promise it in our manifesto?
I don't think. I disagree with you on that.
Is it not part of their manifesto
Dr.
promise?
Bawumia has never politicized.
But it was not a Muslim promise. It's a promise to Ghanaians.
Exactly. So I'm responding to it as a promise. And what we seek to do. How is that political in nature?
Thank you, Hamza. Final point. Let's not belabor this, and then let's move.
Dr. Bawumia has not politicized Hajj, and he will never politicize Hajj.
Okay, point made. Thank you. Government won't interfere with corruption cases, and then there's the isolation, social distancing on MPOX. Any reflections on that? I was going to start with you, but the way you are going, let me start with Kofi, and I'll come to you.
I'm even more
Kofi
interested.
is mischievously pushing in political undertones. Meanwhile, when you respond, he is not happy.
Hamza, please
Hamza,
hold your horses for me. Yes, Kofi.
You brought up Hajj. You brought up
Kofi,
Salah.
let's make the most of the time. Please, let's move on. Let's move on. I beg you.
I'm more interested in the volleyball bridge.
Yeah.
Is it volleyball or something?
Yeah, volleyball.
Yeah, volleyball. Yeah, so I think it's a good thing. Definitely something very positive that we must all hope that it sees the day of light.
Right.
We've worked with the Japanese before on several projects. The motorway projects. Is it the motorway runabout, they call it? That was a Japanese-funded project. We had phase 1 and phase 2 of it, which phase 2 President Akufo-Addo recently commissioned. So it's a very good thing. And I sincerely hope that we are able to do that. Unfortunately, in Ghana, one thing we don't really have many of is such projects. Bridges over, big rivers and
Just this morning, we were talking about one in somewhere in the Oti region, which needs, and if that bridge doesn't work, I mean, many communities, at least 3 communities, suffer.
Okay. Yeah. So I think these are some of the major investments that we have to make. So I'm sincerely hopeful that this really sees the day of light, because sometimes these conversations will come up and then it never materializes. On the other one, I think you mentioned what else? Monkeypox. Huh?
Monkeypox, yes.
Yeah. I think
hygiene practices.
It's a hygiene issue. But then the question is, how do you even know who has monkeypox? Do you know how it looks like if someone has it? I will find it very difficult to know unless it is very obvious. So I think we need more education on TV to see how it looks like, so that Ghanaians can identify and do our best to stay away from it. So those are the comments I'll make.
Hamza.
I think first on the statement of President Mahama that he is not willing to interfere with corruption cases. It is important, especially at this time, because I know as a matter of fact that when the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, was picked up by the state investigative bodies. There were many people who called, especially people who are aligned to the New Patriotic Party, who called.
Can you speak up a bit more?
Who called for His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama to intervene in what they considered excesses. But it is important to note that when it comes to the operations of these institutions, they are regulated by its establishing acts. And so there's the need for us to give that reverence to their establishing acts and allow them to be truly independent. Because over the years, what has been the bane of this country's, if you like, accountability drive has always been the kind of partisanship that has characterized our state institutions. Regardless, and this I'm not making reference to only the New Patriotic Party. In one way or the other, I think that the National Democratic Congress has also been accused in the past of interfering with investigative processes when it comes to accountability or holding past officials of other political parties accountable. So the time has come for us to demonstrate that commitment and actually show that as leaders, we are willing to allow our state institutions to operate without any form of political interference.
Right.
That is the reason why I consider that statement very, very important. And knowing President Mahama, he has demonstrated that throughout his political life in terms of fidelity to the laws of our country and willingness to allow institutions to work, even if it is going to be a cost to him politically, because we saw it in the unfortunate incarceration of the likes of Abu Gapele, who happened to be one of President Mahama's friends and a comrade within the National Democratic Congress.
Okay.
But even as president, he allowed state institutions to carry out their investigations that eventually led to his incarceration. So the examples abound when it comes to President Mahama. Again, when leading members of the New Patriotic Party took advantage of their constitutional right, filed petition against Mrs. Loretta Lamte, President Mahama under Article 146 respected the tenets of Article 146, followed it through, that eventually led to the dismissal of Mrs. Loretta Lamte. So that track record, when it comes to His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, is there. It cannot be contested. But it is important that we all, as political players, behave in ways intended to protect the legitimacy of these investigative bodies. And we must take the call serious.
All right, thank you very much.
But the issue of health, like Kofi indicated, I don't think that I'll be able to identify the symptoms if I see one. And so...
You mean of Mpox?
Yes, the Mpox.
Well, there are some, if you start seeing some lesions, it's just that, you know, I don't know whether you've had chickenpox before.
Yes.
They sort of materialize in the same way, but they are just bigger, and there are fevers and other things.
So even at our level, we seem to have challenges in terms of coming to terms with the symptoms. That tells
no, the symptoms are known. We've had conversations where they tell you about what to expect, but don't take it for granted.
Yes, I'm just making the point that it is an opportunity for our health professionals to up their game and engage in an educational drive.
Okay, so more
that
education
at least
needed.
we begin to understand what the issues are, the symptoms to look out for, and how to respond to them when we begin to notice these symptoms. It is important.
All right.
They should not just take it for granted, because even those of us who are educated, in all honesty, it will be difficult for me to identify the symptoms. How much more somebody who is down there, either in the Upper East, Upper West, or Northern region.
So it's definitely a charge for more education to be done.
Of the role of National Commission for Civic Education. I think that they must begin to take advantage of some of these issues to actually live up to the true mandate of their establishment.
I'm sure my good friend Kathleen Addy is watching. I know they do their own bit. They definitely need more support, but I'm sure they will get the work done. Let me also bring in Emefa Akosia Aditi, who is looking gayish. I'm sure the gay fraternity would love your outfits this morning.
They love this color. Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's been quite a time with you guys watching you on the screen.
and we've been talking about everything from law and corruption. I don't know what you think about this bit. Kofi, I'll come to you in a bit, but government not interfering with corruption cases per the president. I don't know what your take is.
Yesterday, I read that news on the midday bulletin, and then the part that really caught my attention was declaration of assets, when he says that, well, during the constitutional review, he really thinks that part should be reviewed. then I'm thinking, the code of conduct in a subtle way invites government officials to at least do better. At this point, what else can they really review that bit in the constitutional review point to, what can they implement on the face of it? What can they take out? What can they really add? It really goes all the way back to the government officials again, because human beings will always find a way to maneuver when it comes to asset declaration per our culture. But I know that every government that comes will pledge that, well, they will not interfere in corruption. It's taken for granted and as granted that you do not interfere in corruption. But how we know is time, isn't it?
Well, sometimes they say they will not interfere. They will enter, maybe not
but
fear.
Not fear.
Reflections on these stories.
President Mahama has already interfered with the fight against corruption.
Has he?
How?
When you come into power and you file what they call nolli something.
Nolli prosequi.
Yeah, nolli prosequi. And your friends and your cronies, you discontinue cases related to them. Is that not interfering with the fight of corruption?
And you have evidence that these people were friends, were cronies, or because someone got an appointment, so it means that person was a friend or crony.
So what are they? Do you want me to go through the list?
Let's go
Who
through
are
the
they?
list.
They are NDC politicians.
Okay.
Whose cases were in the court and they were discontinued. And then immediately after you discontinued those cases, you go after your opponent.
So is that to say that in the past, when the former AG also discontinued some people's cases where there was the thinking that some of these people may have leaned this way or that,
what I know is that President
these people
Mahama
were
discontinued
friends and cronies.
Cases of persons who are in his political party. That's what I know.
Okay.
And now he's going after people who are in the opposition party. Now, when you talk about not interfering, if you even look at how Wuntumi's case was handled, the unfairness, the treatment that was meted out to him. But these cases are just a few examples of how a government will interfere. You don't necessarily need Mahama to make a categorical statement that do this or do that. We know how governments run. The decisions are made under G, as we call it. And the implementation are done by the officers in charge. Look, we heard commentary from Mustafa Bande and all these people will deal with you, will come after you. When you make such commentary, how am I supposed to believe that you'll be fair to me?
Okay, beyond the commentary, if the people have actually done anything that is criminal or leaves them civilly liable, should it be swept under the carpet because they are politically
Absolutely
exposed?
not.
Okay, I just want to clarify
Absolutely
on that.
not.
Once that is
all
clear,
that I'm saying is due process must be followed.
Due process must be followed. Okay.
Identify what the crimes are. Put your what they call your evidence together. Put your docket together. Go to court. Hold the person accountable. Go through. You see, the point is that when you prosecute or persecute people, especially in the public arena, take, for example, Adubuahin's case and the things that are emerging now.
Which things? The last I heard, two witnesses, two people who were involved are apparently singing like canaries. And I also hear that one person who sent a sum of money into a certain account is claiming...
What I also read is that...
she was misled in a way that she didn't know it was going into a private account.
You see, the thing is that what I also read is one person saying that every money given to him was sent to the institution that he was responsible for and not to his personal account. That's also a story I read.
So we'll leave that
but the point is...
the courts to
exactly.
deal with. Right.
And that's the danger. You heard something, I have said something.
It's sub judice.
Exactly. So when you put out these things in the public arena, this is what happens. You hear, I hear, he hears. So let's leave it to the courts. Let's allow the courts to work. And if people are found culpable, let's hold them accountable.
Okay, point made. Point made. I think you had spoken to this issue already on corruption because you mentioned Abu Gapele, but quick thoughts on that.
It's important to make the point that when it comes to the decision of the Attorney General to file a nolle prosequi, there is absolutely nothing illegal about that decision, and it is not an interference when it comes to the fight against corruption. Our Constitution makes provision for that. You see, even in filing a nolle prosequi, he was not mandated to give reasons, but because he appreciates the political context within which he operates, he went beyond the legal limits and proceeded to provide reasons why the state had to file these nolle prosequi in many of these cases, about 2 or 3. And indeed, he made reference to the fact that there was even an internal memo sent to the former Attorney General by the state attorneys before the NDC came into office, calling for the filing of a nolle prosequi because there was no case against these guys. It was not the NDC's making.
Which memo?
That you failed to do due diligence.
Abena, you know that memo.
Please. Oh, come on, Kofi. I was quiet.
Sure.
With your understanding. So that is what you need to appreciate. That is not the same thing as interfering with the processes.
Okay.
And
all right.
Let us give President Mahama that due regard. I can understand the obsession, especially now, to put things on him. You made reference to the Wontumi issue. Then, what did President Mahama do? What action did he take? You consider and thought. The gentleman was arrested by IOCO using a warrant. Now, he was taken to the IOCO offices. Under our laws, IOCO has the police power of arrest under our criminal code. And it is also clearly stated in the IOCO Act. So if they have exercised that power of arrest, and they were mandated to hold the gentleman for 48 hours. Okay. And they complied with all.
Listen.
That was not true.
I get the point you're making. All that you're saying, we already know. I don't want us to belabor that
under our laws, they are mandated. They can keep him for less.
Yeah, but that's not mandated. No, you can keep him up to. It's not mandate. So don't pedal for.
Kofi, let me do this. It's not mandatory in the sense that you don't necessarily have to keep the person for that length of time.
Exactly. Listen, I'm simply telling you that the law allows them.
Don't do that.
Exactly.
The gentleman.
But not that they are
but that's not the on Hamza. If the law allows you, it is part of their mandate.
No, but you don't.
No. It's not mandatory. It must be 48 hours.
It must not.
Which is
are you guys going to make me allow me to make?
You are correcting.
But you go ahead. Just wrap on this point. Wrap on this point.
No.
Wrap on this point.
Kofi, I can do that better than you.
But you've done it.
So under our laws, they are mandated. They can exercise that discretion.
They can exercise the discretion.
Yes, they can exercise that discretion to keep the gentleman for 48 hours.
Right.
They did. Now, if you have any problem with the process, the law also creates an avenue for you to take advantage of.
Why I don't want you to go on this trajectory? Because even Andy Appiah could be...
When you are going on it, you didn't intervene.
No. But you are basically saying things we already know and have said.
Are we still talking about the corruption bit? We're still on the corruption bit, right?
Hamza, and the Appiah Kubi actually said, he already said that the law has not been broken in any way. That's what I'm saying.
But he
don't belabor the point.
So why didn't you tell him when he was making those false accusations against President Mahama and the NDC that we intervened in the Wontumi case? Why didn't you tell him that?
He was saying that there were a number of cases where nolle prosequis have been brought in, and he feels that it is political. That's what he said.
No, but I responded to that. And he made reference to the Wontumi example and said
so this is specific to Wontumi.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So point made.
Thank you. Opportunity to have pointed to him that
thank you.
Andy indicated
that
there was absolutely nothing wrong with the process.
Okay.
So it cannot be an example.
No.
It cannot be an example. It cannot be an example of President Mahama's interference. What happened? The noise and the confusion that characterized Wontumi's arrest was all engineered by their state of confusion and incompetence.
Thank you.
And their quest to
compete in the end, power. We'll leave the process. We shall leave the process. Kofi, please.
Of investigating Chairman Wontumi.
We shall leave the process.
My friend wants us to stop the
we shall leave the process to the law courts. We've been told that there are criminal elements to it and whatever. We are not justices of any court. We'll leave the law courts to deal with them. MFA, I'm going to take sections of this and come to you so that you lead the conversation from there. The one Ghana City energy sector levy to tackle $3.7 billion debt. That story is on page 13. I'll read very brief snippets of 3 stories. And Parliament has passed the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Bill 2025 to impose a 1 Ghana cedi levy on every litre of petroleum products. So we know of that already. Inflation drops to 2-year low. And the rate at which prices change over time in the country, otherwise known as inflation, has fallen to its lowest level since February 2022, offering hope for households and businesses grappling with the rising cost of living. The Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation, recorded 18.4% for May this year, down 2.8 percentage points from 21.2% in April 2025, and 4.7 points lower than the 23.1% recorded in May last year. And then there's the cocaine bust by the NIB. MFR?
Yeah, maybe I should start with Kofi.
Yeah.
I'll start with you. Let's go to the inflation bit. I mean, you've been in this country for a while. Do you really appreciate that it's true that inflation has dropped?
Yeah, inflation has been has been trending downwards for the last year or so, except for one instance where it shot up again, I think about 1 percentage point or so, I think around September, October. But otherwise, you know, inflation has been on a downward trend. And anybody who follows the economy and understands the economy will tell you that inflation will continue to drop. Because once the economy...
But it's the quantum, isn't it? It's about the quantum.
No, it will take time. You know, it's not going to be...
You know how long we stayed between around 25, 26 and 22?
No, I'm saying that inflation has been on a downward trend. And I've also said that there are instances where, or exceptions...
There was an exception, 1 or 2 months. I remember one at least.
And that's why I referenced that there were those exceptions. But generally, inflation is on a downward trend. It can be 1%, it can be 3%, it can be 5%. But it is on a downward trend, largely because the economy has rebounded, as we said, IMF said, World Bank said. So these things are expected. So I am even hopeful that by the close of the year, inflation should be getting close to a single digit. So I think that is expected. Nothing new.
I don't think that matches expectations. If you look at the projections that have been made. I think this one you are trying to put something around the next of.
Well, he's
the projections don't. I'm talking about projections from the ratings agencies, from government itself, even the budget. It never talks about inflation going to, you know, single digits.
So what you think
that's one deal.
Kofi, is you and I.
Projections.
Look above Hamza and look at me.
Projections from these institutions puts it about 11% by the close of the year. I'm saying that I'm hopeful that we may even go lower because we are seeing a downward trend and it's going to continue. Of course, there are going to be some hiccups, largely because of some of these things. So, for example, yesterday, VIP, I was speaking to Adakabre, and he says that VIP took a decision to reduce the cost of fares for VIP. But they reversed it because of the levy that has just come up. These things may cause some breaks in the downward trend. But largely, I expect it to continue to. And I'm saying that I'm hopeful that we will even go below the 11% projection. How is this propaganda? So I cannot be hopeful for my own country anymore. I just don't.
I like your optimism, though.
Oh,
Kofi,
that's mine on your face.
I'm glad that we have given him that level of optimism. I think that it is something that the NDC should be proud of, because for Dr. Mahmoud Bamiya's political aides to be optimistic that when it comes to our inflationary figures, it will definitely go down. That means that this government is doing something that the government needs to continue to do.
It has nothing to do with your government.
But it has absolutely nothing. Hang on, Kofi, it has nothing to do.
I've told you already.
Can inflation drop automatically?
No, inflation.
Brilliant question.
Look, Kofi. So let him come through. But if you say it has nothing to do with their government, you would ask yourself, why has the exchange rate,
Bernard, I remember
the way it has? Why is inflation falling? Did you listen to the quantum I was talking about? That's why I mentioned quantum.
The inflation.
So sometimes politicians
make the point
to say
clearly.
Anyway.
Make the point clearly. I'm not an economic student, so let's learn a bit.
What I'm saying is
inflation can drop automatically.
No, inflation doesn't drop automatically. What I have already told you is that the economy has rebounded. So a lot of the fundamentals which had challenges have sort of improved. And once these fundamentals, the fundamentals started improving before you even came.
So they've done nothing.
No, I mean, look.
That's why.
You can credit some degree, but it's the severity of credit that you give to them.
Okay, so point made.
So my point is that it's on a downward trend anyway. Any government will see that downward trend. Any government.
Your government didn't see that downward trend. But
what are you talking about?
Because we inherited.
What are you talking about?
Let me hear him first. I've noted your point.
We inherited a very turbulent inflationary rate of about 22% to 23%. We inherited a very weak exchange regime that we started going to work immediately President Mahama was sworn into office to turn around. We inherited a heavily indebted economy, and our external debts alone stood in excess of about 740 billion Ghana cedis.
External debt?
So
no, please be careful. External debt, that's not true.
Both internal and external. Thanks for the correction. 740 billion.
And the debt overhang was 58%.
Can I make my point?
Just be truthful.
Can I make my point? So a total debt stock of about 740 billion, or 741 billion thereabout. Now, this is the kind of economy we inherited. And we had always maintained in opposition that one of the challenges we faced as a country was how reckless the erstwhile administration was when it came to the management of our public finances. And we indicated on several platforms that apart from their reckless management of our economy, what was also the bane was their appetite for corruption, that they had turned the economy of our country to another illegal galamsey pit where they were engaged in mining our meager resources illegally. And so, entrusted with the responsibility to lead, we zoomed straight into action. That is why today you have heard them, Ben, complaining about the fact that government is not spending. Why are they saying that? Because this government is being meticulous and responsible in terms of its fiscal measures. That is why we have decided not to be spending recklessly. Because the more money you have in the system, it reaches a point where the money would be chasing fewer goods because we are not producing to match the quantum of money in the system. So why wouldn't your inflation go up?
I have a question for you. I have a question. I think you made a point. So as a government, how are we measuring temporal price changes to persistent inflation? Because on the outlook, where we can see that prices are dropping, cost of living would say is dropping. But that is temporal.
For us,
both external and internal.
No, for us, we don't consider it temporal.
It's temporal.
No, we don't consider it temporal. We consider it as part of a trajectory geared towards sustaining that particular downward trend, as far as the prices are concerned. So it is not temporal, but the reason is that we are moderate even in terms of our excitement, because we know that Ghana is not an island, and we are dealing with other global factors. So we are making projections to contain many of these global trends. Immediately they begin to show its ugly face as far as our economic management.
But you understand my question, right? That because prices are dropping, it may look as though we're measuring inflation in the light of the pricing.
No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate that. But the point I'm also making is that you need to understand that many of these things are also driven largely by conscious government policies. And that's why I made reference to the fiscal responsibility measures. And you have also come to the realization that even the Bank of Ghana has decided to put its policy rate up to about, I think, 28%, Ben.
It's 28.
All intended to mop out excess.
MPC didn't change. They kept it at the same rate.
All intended to mop up excess. Well,
the last,
it's been retained at 20%.
The last monetary meeting, they retained it. They didn't.
28%. So clearly, you can see that there is that effort on the part of government to mop out excess liquidity, to free up the economic space, so that we can begin to start afresh. So clearly, these achievements, you cannot, on a whimper, take it away from the National Democratic Congress government and that of His Excellency President John Mahama, because these are all measures that we are leading.
All right.
We have told you about the contributions of the Gold Board in terms of our exchange rate stability. You never did that in 8 years.
So see, you see,
we have done it in a matter of 6 months. We are responsible in terms of our expenditure. And all these things are interconnected. So when we tell you that we are getting hold of our economy and we are changing the narrative, demonstrating responsibility when it comes to our spending, we are not using $58 million of the taxpayers' money to dig an expensive hole in Accra.
Many economists have suggested
These
that
are the realities.
honoring.
So, gentlemen, I don't want to back off. I don't want to back and forth on
being
on,
reported
on this
now
one.
doesn't even reflect the CD appreciation.
How so?
Because it is because when we say inflation has dropped, they are measuring what happened in the past, not current. Let's keep that in mind. And the CD just started appreciation about 3 weeks ago or so. So in the next inflation numbers that will come out, then you see this impact in that figure.
So you project that it won't be?
Of course. You see some changes. And like I said, the levy may then affect it. And
Which
then
levy?
also this levy,
The
this
one
new
CD.
levy, the 1 CD levy will affect it. And another thing that will affect it is the sustainability levy. You know, the government extended the sustainability.
How is the levy going to affect the inflation?
Because I just gave you an example. You've added 1 CD to every liter of petrol. Drivers will definitely give it back to consumers. Businesses will give it back to consumers.
Do you know what's interesting? Hamza. Do you know what's interesting?
Directly.
If you look at the lowest, Kofi, if you look at the lowest contributors to the inflationary rate, right? You would see that transport has actually been at, and it has now fallen to 3.1%. Hold. Education services, 6.3%. Information communication, 9.7%. So even the drivers, like the minister himself said, if you look at the boons to the ordinary Ghanaian, and you even take away this 1 CD, per their estimations, it shouldn't be such a hit.
That's
but
easy, Ben.
Just make a final point.
Don't use what the minister says.
No, I'm using what the Ghana Statistical Service has said on
this.
transport.
Inflation is affected when all these things are affected, even though it may not be directly. In economics, there are trickle-down effects. So don't sit here and tell me the levy will not impact inflation. It will. Now, I also told you
I don't think anyone has said
yes, he just said it.
It's about the impact. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm referring to what the minister said.
Because you see,
Hamza wanted clarity.
You see, Ben.
He even said, I don't understand inflation, and that's how is it going to affect inflation.
Okay, if you have any clarity, it should be
You have clarity now.
Yes. You see, let me provide him information. You see, when we talk of inflation, you have to look at government's measures. What he made reference to is revenue mobilization. You are taking revenue, the 1 CD, out of the system. Government is not spending. Government is being responsible in its spending. So if government was taking more taxes and spending recklessly, undoubtedly it will reflect because we have more money in the system. And it will affect the inflation.
To be fair, hang on, to be fair, we can measure, we cannot measure recklessness, but we can measure what he's talking about.
That's what.
We can only hope that government does not spend recklessly.
Exactly,
but in any case, Hamza,
that's why I'm showing him that
you are taking an extra 1 Ghana CD on 1 liter from the people. You are taking an extra 1 CD from my pocket per liter that I buy. Whether or not you are using it recklessly or not recklessly, you are taking
it goes down. Now, let me give you another reason. My sister, let me give you another reason why inflation may not drop as much. You know, in the budget.
He knows. If he's done economics, he knows. That's a very simplistic view.
In the budget.
I don't think it's all-encompassing to think that is all of it. But it's part of it.
It's a simplistic view. I was emphasizing on the 1 Ghana CD.
In the budget, they extended the sunset clause of the growth and sustainability levy, and even increased the percentage. This tax is largely on manufacturing companies and mining companies. Now, the budget was just passed in March, so it will start hitting companies very soon, and they will also pass it down. So it may have some impact on inflation as well.
Okay, so I think that point is clear. It may have some impact. Gentlemen, hold for me. Hold for me.
Yeah.
We know of that industrial action being undertaken by the Ghana Registered Nurses, Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives. Kofi, relax, relax. Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives. And the NLC, the National Labour Commission, has said it is illegal. However, at the Ridge Hospital, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, is still ongoing. MFA Aditi will shortly be engaging Collins Frimpong, our man on the beat. MFA.
Absolutely. Collins, if you can hear me, give me what's happening at the Ridge Hospital. Yesterday, you brought us updates from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital that, of course, nurses were on strike and patients, outpatients mostly, were stranded. Tell me what's happening at Ridge today.
Yesterday, the National Labour Commission issued a statement calling on the Ghana Registered Nurses and the Midwife Association to suspend the strike that they are embarking on. The strike actually began on Monday, and yesterday, Wednesday, was the day where the nurses and the midwives withdrew all outpatient department services. And as we said earlier on, we were at Kolebu. Today, we are at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, also known as REACH. And this morning, we've been to a number of units that the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association stated in their earlier statement that they will be withdrawing services at various places. We've been to the labor ward where myself, I didn't see anyone, I didn't see any nurse or midwife over there. But the officers at the counter told us that the nurses indeed have withdrawn their services over there. And also, we moved to the ambulance emergency service where we saw patients struggling. They are struggling. They are not getting anybody to attend to them. We went inside the main ward. We saw 2 nurses over there, but they won't engage us. And what some of them told us is that they don't know, they can't speak to us, they don't know whether they are calling off or whether they are going to work or not. And we went to the main emergency ward. At this particular time, the nurses are supposed to be at post providing services, but no one was there at that particular moment. Only the cleaner was there trying to mop up the area. I asked the cleaner what was really the situation, and what I was told was that the nurses over there are not working. And this morning, they are supposed to be there working at the moment, but they are not there. But currently, at the main OPD, at the Ridge Hospital, that's the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, if you can see on my right, we have patients here that are currently waiting on the nurses to come in to provide services for them. But that's not the situation. We've been here for about an hour now, and some of them tell us that no one has been here to engage them. We've been inside also to see the situation, and all the wards inside are all empty, with no sign of a nurse coming out. We have the managing director for the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, medical doctor for the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Adams, here that I want to engage him. Doc, good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for coming.
You're on the AM show. What really is the situation? How is the strike by the medical doctors or the nurses and the midwives affecting this particular hospital?
So, the nurses in the hospital belong to various associations. Majority of them belong to the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, and unfortunately, they are those on strike. Presently, we don't have nurses at the OPDs, the various outpatient department units. We don't have nurses at post. The emergency unit is in various parts. The part that receives new patients, we don't have the nurses at post. The theaters where we perform emergency procedures, we don't have nurses at post. The antenatal clinics where we attend to pregnant women, we don't have nurses at midwives at post. And the labor ward where pregnant women come to when they are about to deliver, we don't have nurses at post. So what it means is that we are challenged in receiving new patients. We are challenged in receiving patients coming from the house to see us. For instance, on a daily basis, we see over 600 outpatients. But yesterday, because of the withdrawal of service, we saw less than 100. And it was even, there was rain, so I'm sure the impact was not felt as much as we anticipate today. The challenge we are facing is that doctors have to do some of the work of the nurses. We don't have rotation nurses supporting us because the rotation nurses are challenged. They cannot work unsupervised, so they are not available. So the doctors have to do what they can do for the nursing aspects and then still do their work. So we are a bit of, we are under pressure. We're under pressure. We hope that things get better.
The Ministry of Education, I mean the government through the Ministry of Education prior to this strike yesterday, Ministry of Health, yesterday issued a statement that stated that they are going to bring in the rotational nurses to fill the gap that the Ghana Registered Nurses and the Midwives Association strike is going to create. And based on what you are saying, it looks like we don't have that over here yet.
Yes, we don't have that because the rotation nurses are like national service people who are supposed to work under supervision. If we bring them alone here, that means that they are going to work without supervision because their bosses are on strike. So, unfortunately for us, they are uncomfortable to work unsupervised, so they are not available.
And how about security issues? The same statement that the Ministry of Health issued, they stated that they were going to bring in security officials, including the police, to assist with security. Was that one also?
Okay, fortunately for us, we've not had any security challenges yet. We have a security post a police post in the hospital. So at least our police are close by. And if there are any issues, we can easily count on them to assist us resolve. But so far, we've not had any major issues with security that our internal security officers have not been able to manage.
How is the hospital internally trying to reduce the impact of this particular strike?
Yes, so like I said, for instance, at the labor ward, the doctors are those who are receiving the patients now. So when the patients come in, work that the midwives would have done, now the doctors have to assess the patients and then assess the severity of the condition. If it's one that needs urgent attention, they are received. If it's a case that can go home and then come back or go to another hospital, the appropriate decision is taken. So far, the doctors are stepping in to try and perform the functions that the nurses have withdrawn. What it means is that now the doctors are overburdened. And then the members of the other nursing unions are not many. So we don't even feel their presence in trying to reduce the impact of the withdrawal of service by the GRNMA.
I'm grateful to you, Dr. Adams. Grateful once again. So, MFA, that's the situation here at the Ridge Hospital. We all had medical doctor, Dr. Adams at the Ridge Hospital trying to provide information on the situation here at the Ridge Hospital. Let's go around and engage some of the patients here that are currently at the main OPD at the Ridge Hospital who have been here for hours trying to get access to healthcare, but they are not getting. Mommy, good morning. Pacho Frozen.
If I'm fire.
Anope mahu say wabetna be say 1 hour or 2 hours. Unka oba be den?
Me be review for my night.
No, oba no asembe no maka.
Next for no question I can tell you kakake. Ye tell all friend e aba. Ya be ye twe omo a obi amba obi amehwe ye na egu a obi aso doctor obi aso maka hwenkere ye na egu a. Ye hu na ya egu a no. Ye nim da omo de baba. Omo se omo hu nim da omo de baba.
Or appeal be at the study or the better bay.
Yes, Rabbi said, only doctor and nurse for no card or no back, also won't problem. Near the Yaya for into our someone on Musha, into also one problem, no Munya Quambre, Jumana, or my measure. I decided, I don't know.
Thank you. MFA, that's one of the patients called Sophia, and she has been here for quite some time now, more than an hour. She came here for a review, according to her, but she has not been able to get any health care from the nurses, and nobody is coming around to tell them anything. All that she is saying is that she is appealing to government to come to the aid, come to their rescue, that's to solve the issues with the nurses and the midwives over here. Mommy, mpacho ye frozen.
Doris.
Mommy, mpacho anopenka babe.
I'm about review. But 4 months no more me na mamba. To me buy and see omo strike by doctors nurses phone by atra mo buy. Nti 4 months near mo see me brand mamba so yeah to me an hwe me nti e ha me. Na face so nyame mboa ya nyina na aban na near Omoshushen on your mom, Sene Bea, Yesu Yarina Ba, Yanya say on Beshe, nay, and one toy.
I did deporting and Kauba apart from review, so 1 year in your review now, or how Ben at the Bible.
Oh, sir, many in the map, auntie. Time of my shaman, dear Duna Camusa and Asa. Until I say me back, no more say, at the same. Some best said, Drunusua, no master, some man, son of my cousin, me Coswa, Nam, my ye. Until me buy, because 4 months there, what, say, Metanasis, I mean, him down, back, until I have.
Thank you. So she also came after 4 months that she was scheduled to come over here for a review. She's having issues with her eye, and when she came here after the 4 months, no one is here to attend to her. So she's also appealing to government for support. For the nurses to resume from their strike. We have more people here that we want to engage. Mami, Mpacho, Efrozen.
Haji Aisha.
And I don't pay day and go baby.
Me how ne say me nine me yare me ba hospital. Me ba ntempa me duru about 5 o'clock. E duru ha yetete ha sa ya se doctor ko strike. Afi so ya se nya doctors na ya nurses. Se si anu me nro nyina so asan. Tinka me ba se nka me hwe doctor ne be hwe me. Na eduro ne bi nso wo ho a me normal me wo ha kakra. Na nka ma be susu ho a kire doctor na se wo be sesen eduro ne bi ama me a. Any abetna hasa nti ye hwe se ebi no mo se doctors ne beba na nurse for na what's right nti ye hwe se doctors ne beba na se ye wo ha obi ne ye ka kire wo mo no wo mo betie ya se ye twen so na se wo mo ama na kire se ye kɔ na eya ye ba ye wo appointment a ye ma ye date a ye de ba nti nkende fifi na ye mi date nti se si asa nurse for na ama na we enye obi aso embisa na hwe na wo kɔ a into me who said next time, no, you never date our mother beba. Now, next time, so bad date Ben, I would be besia. And this I see, I know nurse for instance, or Mumbai, you with doctor see, nurse for instance, and my date. And this I see, I how I swear there some pa, and I just say, Yanko Pona Casabaya Yadrum. Tini edited to her, baby, into Akayania, Yakaya Tetiha. Yenya nurse need be crying be son as some.
Quite a worrying situation, a sad situation here at the Rich Hospital, and she had an appointment with the medical doctors. She is supposed to be here today, but that's not the situation here. She came here around 5 a.m. and according to her, she came for them to review her and also give her new drugs. Her drugs are all finished. But looks like that won't happen today. And she doesn't even know when to also report, since today is the day that she was scheduled to come. But when she goes home today, she wouldn't know when to come. Let's try and engage more people. Mami, Pacho, good morning. Pacho, if you're saying.
From Auntie Teresa, I'm Fita Crady.
Fita Crady number, I say.
Fita Crady number, I know my appointment time. Maybe, yeah. Metina Kalum be 8 o'clock and then you have 4:30.
And when you made it,
and that I was there a nurses worker strike. In fact, I am here because I'm doing a last appointment 6 months time. Number 6 months. Namabe I was there. Nurses 1 year. You mean to see I don't home papa. Oh, I'm doing a last.
So now, Obayano or nurse Obi Abba Bene and my bed didn't come on. Be a nurses and I said doctors.
That be you nursing be a young doctor in Biawa. It's a day at a gate man or ya no abano catching yan chanaka cry and share this a doctor. Be baba when you be doing coma, near the hair channel.
Option it is send 1 year solution be a or before for Kwana say Obertrain our class and
Mini baby fufro, chidemoko. Even Pomo me the time I would Obama for say, yeah, see him pay bisanma or sharing time attack de chidamoko, my son's my baby, no biano noma. My son's my ban son my budget time for. It's about the end of your hopper papa. Mini baby, I'm a I know I fame my behalf for 15 years.
Sad scenes at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital here this morning, and she came from Takrady all the way. She set off around 8 p.m. yesterday, got here early in the morning. That after 6 months, she wanted to see medical doctors for them to review her and also prescribe new drugs for her. But she is not going to get that, and she is appealing to government for the government to come to their aid. Nurses and the midwives to withdraw from, to call off the strike. Here is the main OPD that we are entering, and that normally you will be seeing more patients inside this particular OPD. That's the main OPD at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. But this morning here looks more like a cemetery. Here is silence. No one is here. And over the counter there, that you can see only the bankers there that they are working, the accountant there that they are working. But the chairs here at the main OPD at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital is empty this particular morning. And also you move straight to the emergency ward at the other block too. That's the same situation over there. Even though the emergency ward patients are there struggling, fighting, battling for their life, but no nurse is there to attend to them. Medical doctor, Dr. Adams, has also confirmed the situation and how terrible it is impacting activities at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital this morning. Today is day 2 since the nurses and the midwives withdrew their services at various OPDs and emergency wards across the country.
Thank you so much, colleagues. Quite a worrying situation at the Ridge Hospital, and I can only imagine the other hospitals across the country if the strike action is biting this hard. Now, back in the studio, I'll come to you straight. Well, of course, because you're sitting quite close to me. Now, we've seen the directive from the National Labour Commission that the nurses and midwives should return. Why? Because they failed to appear before the commission when they were invited, plus the Fair Wages Commission. The Fair Wages attended, but they did not. Yeah. And this is what's happening.
I think the Minister of Finance was also represented in the said meeting.
Yeah.
And per our labor laws, they ought to have been part of that meeting. So it is difficult to understand why they decided not to be part of that meeting. It is clearly a breach of our national labor laws. And I'm sure that there would definitely be sanctions. But at this stage, I think that the focus should not be on the sanctions. I've always argued that sometimes we must apply our laws flexibly. Irrespective of what we think, they have concerns that they consider legitimate and they need government to intervene to resolve. As a listening government, I think that we have to begin to engage even more proactively now with them, especially the Minister of Health should be out there engaging proactively with them. Let us see what we can do in the interim to get them back to their hospitals, because clearly the sight that we have been shown today is quite worrying.
I put myself in the shoes of, if that were your mother.
It is quite
your
worrying.
Aunt or someone sitting there.
I know that we are not running a government that takes pride in applying the laws simply because the law has been breached in terms of our labor laws. We must first of all step in to save lives. We must first of all step in to make it possible for our compatriots and our citizens to have access to good health care. And that should be the focus of this government. But you see, it also raises another issue of preparedness as a state. It has always been my point that there's the need for us to look at the operations of our national security and attach a human wing to it, where in any time that we have situations like this, that wing that is specially trained, especially sensitive areas of our economy, of our livelihood, it should be possible for national security to have had health professionals on their system, their database, that we can move in the interim while we engage. They may not be able to fill all hospitals, but clearly there are some specific areas.
Like we do with our military.
Yes, like there are some specific areas that we can deploy them so that they can hold their grounds to ensure that our citizens have access to good health care. Because it is not their fault that government is at loggerheads with their nurses when it comes to their demands. And you cannot fault the nurses too for demanding what they consider their due. But what I can assure you is that this is a government that is responsive to the needs of the Ghanaian people. And so our health minister will do everything within his power to ensure that we get them back to the hospitals. That is not an appealing sight to see.
I like that you recognize the fact that it's not a good sight to see. And you also know that in situations like this, some bite harder than the other. Yes. For example, you can make up for education when there's a gap, when teachers go on strike. you can make up for extra tuition and all of that. But when it comes to health, you really cannot make up. When it bites, it really bites hard. Yes. And as a country, are we becoming very notorious for when the thing has gone bad already before we try to want to correct it? If you look at how the timelines have been explained by the Ghana Labour Commission, it will mean that the nurses and midwives are quite certain they are bent on going because they started this conversation a while ago. Now, when it comes to health, you really cannot wait till it gets to the very edge of it before you want to nib it in the bud. And so whilst we're talking about the labor laws and wanting to go the legal way, I'm recognizing the fact that you're calling that we curb it. But now, in your estimation, what do you think the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Health can really do for these patients who are sitting in the clinic today to get some service?
Yes, that is the reason why I am saying that whatever it takes, the government must engage. I don't think that these nurses are unreasonable. It should be possible for them to reach a compromise before end of day today, because this situation cannot continue. And the buck stops at us. We must deploy everything within our arsenal that we feel can help resolve the impasse, even in the interim. Because, look, our economic situation is dire. I can understand the frustration, even on the part of the Ministry of Finance and that of Minister of Health. But the reality also is that we cannot joke with our health system. So whatever we need to do as a government, I can assure you that it will be done to bring them back to the hospitals. Because in any case, these are some of the reasons why Ghanaians give us this mandate. We would not play politics with it and say that, look, you have breached the labor law, and for that matter, the Labor Commission can continue on that tangent because that is their mandate. But we are also entrusted with the responsibility of effectively negotiating with the midwives and nurses to get them back into the classroom. And the law should not prevent us from doing so. And I'm convinced that the Minister of Health would do everything within his power, like I indicated earlier, to ensure that we get them back before the end.
Kofi, some days ago, the government sought to create the impression that if some nurses defy the directive from their mother body and decide to want to go to work, they shall provide security for them so that they can still, provide the services that they'd like to provide in these hospitals. But today we can see from what my colleague has just brought us from Ridge Hospital that even those who had created the impression that, well, we don't care what our mother body is saying, we're going to go to work, still didn't even go to work. It gives me the impression that when it comes to negotiation, the government or whoever is on the sitting table is unable to hold people down with their negotiation powers. Do you get that impression?
Well, I don't have all the details. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago when I saw aspects of it on social media. So I'm still trying to fully bring myself up to speed on the facts. But let me commend Hamza. I mean, unlike earlier when he was very mischievous, he's been very patriotic. And I'm commending you. You've been very patriotic in your approach. And I think on issues, you are not always patriotic. Please, take your credit and let me talk.
Unfortunately, I don't need it from you.
So my point is that I like his approach to the issue. The fact that government must do whatever it takes to meet, at the right juncture with the nurses so we can have this issue ameliorated. The fact is, as Ben was saying, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the people there. The lady from Takrade, the woman who has eye problems, and the other one. I mean, these are real issues. And the one from Takrade is even more dire. Her medicine...
She's run out completely.
Run out, and she, it's not like... And some of these things, you can't just go to a pharmacy and pick it, So these are real issues, and I stand with Hamza in saying that the minister should really step in and make sure by close of day we can bring this whole issue to an end. If it is money issues, let's give them the assurances that we'll give them the money. If it's services, benefits and welfare issues, let's look at it and resolve that as well. I wouldn't want to politicize it just as he did, just to make sure that we have a consensus. It's healthcare, and it's our lives, and we can't joke with it. When you are getting close to 40, as I am, reality dawns on you. And often...
You are now getting close to 40.
Yeah, and you
no ageism, Hamza.
So you realize that life is completely different from when you are in your 20s.
Yeah?
Reality, oh yeah, of course. You see a lot of difference. And your appreciation for issues completely change. And so when you see people in that condition, it hits you, it strikes you right away. You know, so we need to be very careful and make sure we do whatever it takes to.
And definitely it's a fact as well. Once you hit 40, in fact, your late 30s into 40, certain challenges you've never had. You will start to see certain things pop up, and that's where taking care of yourself is very crucial. But we need to do more when it comes to our medical facilities. We'll get into the other newspapers briefly for the sake of time, but I had to bring this up, Kofi, because I saw, and I was looking forward to a conversation with you, on the Washington issue. You know, I was surprised when I heard that you said there had been you had started some sort of investigation, and that even the person involved some people had offered you $10,000 a month on that issue. My simple question is, what did your investigations lead to so that it stayed this long and we are still dealing with that situation?
You know, I made a promise to myself not to comment on the issue again.
Okay.
Largely because, you know, external media houses started reaching out to me.
Which ones? CNN, BBC?
BBC, for example. And I reflected and I said, look, there are internal challenges within the embassy, and not just the U.S., Ghana embassy in the U.S. Embassies across there are challenges. But these are issues we can solve and must solve internally. It must not be the springboard for us to project our nation badly to the global world. So I stopped any and every engagement.
You're making a very fair point, a good point. Yeah. But at the same time, if it could have been resolved, like you say, we hear this situation started in, 2017, and that for at least 5 years, these people engaged in this, a pseudo link to an official website. I've worked in an embassy setting. I keep saying that it was such a shock for me to hear that.
So you know, and even...
And Kofi, if someone was offering you $10,000 a month to do something, do you know what that suggests?
No, see, for me, my thing is that what I aim to achieve in life and for this country goes beyond $10,000 a month. I didn't see the point of taking that money. And
no, I'm talking about from their end. Not for you, from their end, to be willing to offer that. And are you disappointed it didn't end?
I don't even think they had the capacity to. It's, you know, sometimes it's a case of luring you in.
Yeah.
So, but again, I've made the point that I don't want to discuss this issue. I'm available. If the minister wants to engage me, I'll be more than happy to share my views on what some of the things must be done to solve the issues. Look, this thing goes beyond 2017.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not just one place.
So it's a matter that at least we are trying to resolve. I was just asking, are you disappointed that it stayed on for so long, up to this time?
Oh, again, I wouldn't want to put any adjective on anything. My thing is that I want the minister to get to the bottom of it.
To get to the bottom of it. Let me quickly bring this in. For the sake of time, we have to rush. The Ablekuma North issue is also hanging around our necks. There have been petitions, a march, and all of that.
I'm very surprised.
Quick thoughts on that, and then Hamza will come to you on the same two topics. And then
so very quickly, I have to go. I have another station waiting, your sister station, actually. So I have to go downstairs. So I'll just say this very quickly. At this point, I don't know whose responsibility it is to ensure that we bring this whole matter close. Because I just don't get it. Why can't we solve this problem? Is it a matter of re-election? I mean, doing the election over again? You know, so...
But those I've spoken to, I think Evans Nimako and others from your end, they say they don't want to do this again. They would rather have the last...
No, that was just putting it out there. I have to get to Evans on the facts and where the party stands on the issue.
Okay.
I'm just expressing my dismay at the fact that we haven't been able to resolve this issue 6 months after the election.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
I think, let me...
MFR, please.
On the issue of the U.S. Embassy, you see, it boils down to leadership. And I can understand why my brother is struggling to adopt a nationalistic posture. Because something that was going on since 2017, and I'm told that he personally, at a point, had cause to petition
That was what I just...
Yes, but the system failed to act. It is because in the last, and when you say these things, you are accused of doing partisan politics. But in reality, that is why governments are elected, to take action, especially when it borders on corruption and the international image of our country. And so for me, it was disappointing that even one of them was so concerned to the point that even after numerous petitions, nobody responded, nobody acted. And so if today we have a minister who has acted, I think that it is only fair for us to comment and urge him on, like he has indicated. It might not be just in the United States alone. There are many of our embassies dotted across the length and breadth of this, many other countries. So we can take advantage of that and begin to probe many of these embassies. But now coming to the Ablekuma issue. Yesterday when I saw the minority, I was a bit disappointed in the conduct of the minority. You see, we all know that when it comes to the declaration of election results, it is not within the power of the Ghana Police Service to declare sin. The Electoral Commission is there. So even if indeed you meant what you set out to achieve, I think that the appropriate bin for them to have gone to should have been the Electoral Commission, not the Ghana Police Service. So I'm trying to understand why they decided to rather petition the Ghana Police Service to ensure a declaration of that particular constituencies when they do not have that mandate.
Security to do that.
Secondly, no, it is not you who would demand that security. It is going to be demanded by the Electoral Commission. And finally, today my brother spoke about 6 months that a seat has not been declared. Have you forgotten about so? For good 4 years, these guys presided over a system where citizens of four constituencies were denied the opportunity of representation in Parliament. And you have just been subjected to that for 6 months and the whole world must come down. I agree that there's a need for us to resolve it.
You don't have to
pause. Thank you, gentlemen.
These are the facts.
Thank you very much.
These are the facts. These are the facts.
Looks like the men like this kind of breakfast. But thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Hamza. Thank you, Kofi Tuta, as well, for joining us today on the News Review. You're watching the AM News. Please stay with us this morning. Welcome back to the AM Show, and thank you really for still staying with us. Now, the AM Show is sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment as well. Now, in many Ghanaian homes, English has taken the place of native languages, and experts say it's putting the country's cultural identity at risk. At the just ended Afro-Curation Ghana 2025 event in Kumasi, language scholars and digital activists raised alarm bells calling for urgent action to preserve Ghana's rich linguistic heritage. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
A typical Ghanaian household today, English dominates conversations. It is often seen as a sign of intelligence and for many parents, a point of pride. But language experts say this growing shift could have a long-term consequences. Head of linguistics at the University of Ghana, Professor Opani Kofi Ajikum, says abandoning mother tongues for English doesn't make anyone more important.
If we decide to have positive attitude towards our own languages, we will let our children learn the languages. Unfortunately, these days, in many homes in Ghana, people don't speak the native language, indigenous languages with their children. They prefer to use English, hoping that, oh, mebano or cabro for power, and that's more prestigious. Let's get back to know that since we are Africans, one of the things of our cultural heritage is our language.
He made the remarks at the Afro-Curation Ghana 2025 event at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, which brought together over 80 participants and language experts to create Wikipedia content in 7 Ghanaian languages. Jemima Entry is the Afro-Curation 2025 project lead.
Through this initiative, we are bridging the digital divide because they are publishing on Wikipedia, and since it's an encyclopedia where people go to grasp knowledge, I believe through that it is bridging the digital divide.
Senior lecturer at the Department of Language and Communication Sciences at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Emmanuel Fojo Entry says some people now feel ashamed to speak their own language. He fears this attitude could lead to extinction.
And what we have also realized is that we have some people who feel shy to speak their own dialect or language. And that is a bad attitude. And we want to encourage them. We want to encourage the educated among them so that we will try to sustain the language that we are endowed with.
Afro Creation is an event to reclaim African identity in the digital age. As the world moves forward digitally, Ghana's languages must not be left behind. Experts say the future of the Ghanaian identity depends on what they choose to speak today. A report by Mohamed Nuruddin.
Welcome back to the AM show and some exciting news. Get ready for the 7th Ghana Football Awards. Join us on June 14th at the Pounds Convention Center for a night of excitement, glamour and celebration of Ghana's finest football stars. Let's unite the nation once again through football. Ghana Football Awards is a Football Impact Africa initiative powered by Activate 360 and proudly supported by the Multimedia Group and AE Mediacom. Sponsors NASCO, FCM Travel, Destination Avantgarde, Shell, Safari Valley Resort, Ghana Football Awards, celebrating the stars of our passion. All right.
Well, let me also tell you about the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, Ghana. And they present the CIHRM 2025 conference on June the 18th, actually between June the 18th and the 19th, 2025. At the Alisa Hotel in Accra. The theme is regulating HRM in Ghana, standards, ethics, and sustainability. Now, the conference rates are cool. For members, 3,200 Ghana cedis, non-members, 4,000 Ghana cedis, and for student members, 2,000 Ghana cedis. You can register now via the CIHRM website or at CIHRM Ghana on Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. That is at CIHRM Ghana. You can also call 0243 278 694 or 0208 11264. I believe that number is incomplete. We'll get you the final digit, and that is for group registrations and discounts. CIHRM, transforming work and workplaces. But now we get into our big stories. MFR.
Well, of course, the NDC accuses the NPP of criminality in Ablekuma North parliamentary elections, which has left the constituency in limbo 6 months after the 2024 general elections. This follows a march by the minority to present a petition to the IGP demanding him to provide security for the declaration of the results. We are asking, is this another SAL in the making? We'll hear from the parties, but also we shall be joined by who is supposed to be having this conversation and bringing clarity to this, Benjamin. A little later, we will be joined by Mustafa Bande, Deputy Director. Well, we've got him on the line. Deputy Director of Operations at the Presidency. Mustafa, good morning. It's good to have you on the show this morning. So yesterday, we saw the minority marching to petition the IGP to provide security for the collation of the Ablekuma North constituency. And one big question everybody's asking, when we talk of Ablekuma, we're also asking about SAL. Is this another SAL in the making? But what do you make of the constituency generally not being represented 6 months into the year?
Good morning, and thank you to your beautiful self and my friend Kapo for having me. First and foremost, I think that it's a travesty of justice, denial of representation, orchestrated by the Electoral Commission as a result of incompetence and lack of personal responsibility and willing to conduct, supervise, declare credible elections. We had elections since December, we've had issues with collation. The Electoral Commission have gone to places with collated results, declared same. Out of compromises, the NDC have let some of the issues go. In the issue of Ablekuma North, is the offense of the electoral rules, EI 127. The Electoral Commission knows that in collation of results, uncarbonated, we use carbonated pink sheets, which is given to all political parties after counting of results at the various polling stations, which is used for collation. Under no circumstance, the CI 127, which guides the Electoral Commission in its work, has not contemplated on the use of electronically transmitted pink sheets by any of the parties. In this present matter, the Electoral Commission wants us to believe that in the absence of carbonated pink sheets from all political parties as a result of the clashes that occurred, we in the NDC, the people of Ablekuma North, who have voted, strongly and highly, vehemently for our candidate, should accept that the Electoral Commission and the MPP should declare an election on the basis of, an electronically transmitted pink sheet, scanned copies, for which we don't know where they got from. And the Electoral Commission knows it. Recently, the Electoral Commission went into hiding. The NDC had a meeting with the Electoral Commission at an IPAC meeting, made follow-up to the Electoral Commission. Electoral Commission failed to respond, only to go into public to lie that the police are the ones delaying the declaration of Ablekuma North in the absence of a discussion with the political parties. At the back of this, we all know that Sribo Kweku was the officer of the Electoral Commission who supervised the activities of all the recollation that occurred. Today, the Electoral Commission is telling the people of Ghana that Sribo Kweku does not have the capacity to represent them in that matter, for whatever he said should be disregarded. That is not true. They went and accused the police, and then we went to the police and explained the matter. And we all agreed that the Electoral Commission should organize an IPAC meeting involving the MPP and all other political parties so that we revisit the law, CI 127, so that we audit the process, we audit the pink sheet, we audit every single item that will be used to verify whether or not we can proceed with a declaration or we will go and reorganize a fresh election as a result of the things that have occurred. Jim Mensah is unwilling to follow the law. I am quite surprised that yesterday, members of minority, who themselves, most of them are lawyers, decide to go and, match themselves to the IGP, forcing the IGP to provide security for declaration. I beg to say that this will not happen because we in the NDC will not allow this criminality, this illegality, fester to be allowed to take place in this country to deny the people of Ablekuma North a member of parliament. And so again, it only speaks to deliberate incompetence, the incapability of Jim Mensah and her team to give Ghanaians, both the MPP, NDC, and other political parties, a credible and unquestionable, a class-worthy electioneering process. That is the crux of the issue now. When at the center, the referee is not competent, when at the center, the referee is not capable, when at the center, the referee is one-sided, then we have all these issues. But the MPP minority will not be used as a window to coerce anybody to perpetuate an illegality against the people of Ablekuma North.
What specifically is the NDC asking for? A rerun?
We have asked the EC to do a simple thing. don't meet the NDC alone. Call a meeting with all other stakeholders. Let us argue, let us interrogate, let us debate, let us audit the process, because we know that you cannot collate an election using electronically scanned pink sheets rather than carbonated pink sheets. Even so, these pink sheets that EC is seeking to rely on were provided by the MPP, not the NDC. How can we be declaring an election on the basis of MPP's, pink sheets electronically, when the people whose signatures appear on those pink sheets, most of them have now come to deny that it is not their signature on the pink sheet?
Okay.
And so if you are, confronted with these kind of confusion by the Electoral Commission, your guess is good as mine that clearly there is an election to be declared. Clearly, it is going to be chaotic. Clearly, the Electoral Commission is at the center of the confusion again, with incompetence and unwilling to follow the law.
Okay.
With inconsistencies and using the police as trying to blame the police by not taking responsibility for what they have done. So we are asking the Electoral Commission, let us go back to the drawing board. Let us sit and discuss. When we had the previous IFAC meeting, there were a litany of issues that we raised in that meeting. Those issues were sent to the Electoral Commission to provide answers. Electoral Commission never did, only to run to the police to ask for protection to go and declare the results. We also wrote to the IGP, notifying the IGP on the development at the back of these irregularities. The IGP then informed the Electoral Commission to engage all political parties and revert. What is the role, what is the responsibility of minority groups in Parliament, 88 members of Parliament, against 100 and something, going to work to present a petition? It's needless, it's uncalled for, it's an exercise in futility. Again, they think they can use, this level of machoism whereas the NDC to accept an illegality. It's not going to happen.
Okay. Please hold the phone for me, as we've just been joined as well by Evans Nimako, Director of Elections, NPP. Evans, thank you for joining us. You have heard Mustafa, and of course, you also by now know that the minority marched to the IGP petitioning him for security for the collation of the results. This morning, as of this morning, where does the NPP stand on this Ablekuma North constituency matter?
Well, thank you very much for having me, and good morning to your listeners, viewers, and to General Mustafa. I think we all need to calm down and approach the issues as they are. We have had a very successful presidential election. But strangely, the EC declared the presidential result without Ablekuma North. In the same way, as we speak, we've not been able to conclude on Ablekuma North parliamentary result. And we need to act. What has been the cause? I'm happy Mustafa mentioned illegality, irregularity, and all that. But this is a case that has traveled even up to the Supreme Court for certain directions to be given. On the 4th of January 2025, the High Court gave specific orders to the Electoral Commission and to the Ghana Police Service, which is the Election Security Task Force that supervised the conduct of the general elections in December 7, 2024. If you engage MPP and DC, this banter will not stop. What has been the orders of the court? The EC should go back and collect results of all the 281 polling stations and declare the winner for the parliamentary election. We've had situations where the EC has called parties involved, MPP, NDC. And you, the media, have been there. The police have been there. For all those times that the EC invited us, a certain gentleman keep on, really to undermine the whole exercise. I think that at this point, you may have to call the EC and get the returning officer. And we shouldn't run away from this. The Evidence Act, the Electronic Transaction Act, all support that you can use an electronic form of a document. And when the lawyers file their processes, don't they ask photocopies? We, when we're done with the elections and we're issued with our pink sheets from all the 281 polling stations, we scanned them. So when some people thought that they were destroying pink sheets, they will have their way, they wouldn't. So far, the EC has collated all with the exception of 3 polling stations. The EC has told the public, we are ready to declare the results after adding the remaining 3. Let the police provide the necessary security, and we are ready to go. The New Patriotic Party has met with the IGP and his commissioners. We are hoping that the EC will find time and invite us for this exercise to be concluded. If NDC has any issue, they better go to court and challenge the decision, the ruling of the court on the 4th of January. Why do we have to be doing this to ourselves?
Okay. As Director for Elections for the NPP, as of yesterday or after the march to the IGP yesterday, or maybe as we speak this morning, have you heard anything at all from the Electoral Commission? Because, of course, they are the biggest in the center of this. We cannot continue to engage NDC, NPP, as you have rightly said. It will be just a matter of banter again. But as Director, have you engaged the Electoral Commission? What have they been saying is the way forward?
Yeah, we are expecting to hear from both the police and the Electoral Commission. The exercise by the minority leadership. It's not out of place as Alhaji Mustafa or Jena Mustafa wants to put it. The parliament is supposed to be membership of 276. If you have 275, it means it's not complete. It's not complete. And it is important that we approach this issue with all the seriousness it requires. Because how can we have a constituency without representation? More so when the constituency participated in the electoral exercise. They voted. But what is strange is that on the day of collation, some individuals decided to cause mayhem. I expect that the police will do the needful, investigate and let those people face the law. We can't sit and people will have their way, that it lies in their mouth to say whatever they want to say, do whatever they want to do, and then they have to go away without being...
Evans and Marco, so on this beat, I think we've spoken about this before and the blame game about which parties people were there. But you say you've interacted with the EC. In fact, Mustafa Gbande, on the other end, he has been lampooning the EC in this. You are commending the EC. So obviously, you are not on the same page on that. But after all these... But you say that, at least they have called you, you have had, interactions with them on the back of Ablekuma North and all of that. So they are not technically to blame.
We've met at IPAC. How am I commending them?
No, you are saying that.
Right.
Okay, so you are not commending the EC.
At IPAC.
It ends at IPAC. Is that what you're saying?
IPAC. And we went to court, and the court gave orders.
Oh, okay. Right. On the back of these meetings, what have the results been? We still don't have, what it takes to declare one of them winner as of now. Now, you're saying that the police must intervene, on the back of which you had this march yesterday. Specifically, why do you think the onus lies on the police?
I mean, I've mentioned it, my brother. I said that the court orders were too easy to get the work done. Was for the police to provide security. And without that, how can it be done successfully? And I'm saying that when we had collation on December 7th, the challenges that came were perpetrated by some individuals. And I'm saying that the media, you covered it. The police were there. Why haven't they effected any arrest?
That question has been posed by both sides. And as for that one, we can leave to the Ghana Police Service. My question had to do then with why you think the police service, because on this bit about providing security, I have heard, as well, claims from the Ghana Police Service in respect of their readiness to provide same. That is why I keep scratching my head in respect of who has to make the move. Is it the EC? Is it the political parties? Is it the Ghana Police Service? Let me put that question as well to Mustafa Gbande.
Before you go to Mustafa, please, before you go to Mustafa, I mentioned that we have met the IGP and his commissioners. Assurances have been given. We are waiting to hear from them.
You are waiting to hear from them?
Yes, please.
Okay. Hold for me. Mustafa Gbande, how do you react to that? You've been saying that the EC itself has not lived up to expectation. Is it the EC's fault, or is it maybe, does it lie at the door of other institutions?
This matter, both the NDC and the MPP are interested parties. And so none of us will be blamed at this point. If we have a competent, ready electoral commission who is willing to uphold its own laws, we shouldn't be having this discussion. And let me also inform my brother that we have also on ourselves met the IGP. We have explained, because you were supposed to be part of that meeting, that your leadership couldn't make it. Even though we had insisted that the meeting should be rescheduled until you were present. We proceeded and we told the IGP our side of the story, and he agreed. He
agreed to what?
They agreed at that day that we're going to go back with the Electoral Commission to have a discussion with stakeholders and to align with the law. And so the police, I don't think, will be used as a rubber stamp to perpetuate the illegality alongside with the interests of the MPP. My brother, senior brother, knows.
Which illegality would that be?
He knows that you can't use scanned copies of pink sheets that you brought from either heaven or Israel as part of elections other than carbonated pink sheets. He knows that. Okay, particularly when it is not coming from the Electoral Commission. He's very much aware of that. So I'm shocked that today the MPP is calling for arrest of those who perpetrated, a mess up of electoral materials. If that is the conversation we want to have, then we should go back and have that conversation. But we, the NDC, are calling for an aligned discussion, which includes the MPP, for us to sit and agree with the modalities which should have been contemplated within CI 127. My brother knows that. But we cannot manufacture new laws to declare Ablekumanov election. We can have another.
We'll talk about those new laws, and of course we cannot.
And let me say that when he talks about these disturbances at the election, he was in government at the time. Why didn't they effect arrest? Because it suited them at the time. They were in government. They were fully in charge of the state security. Why didn't they save all of us the trouble by arresting all the people who did that thing? Today he wants to blame. And then number two, if you have brought out a pink sheet reporting that somebody has signed, and the individual comes out to say that this is not my signature, would you say that he is acting to undermine the process? Must somebody accept a signature that is not his? We should be frank with ourselves and go back to
the question could also be asked about, Evans, let me do this, please. I'll come to you. The question could also be asked about whether these people did sign and later said they did not sign. That's also because
I believe that
nobody was there.
My brother is experienced in election, even more than the electoral commissioner we have.
Right.
My senior brother, Dr. Omanibu Ama, and his deputies, who engage more. are competent to deal with the issues. Let's go back to the drawing board. We can still guide the Electoral Commission, even in the absence of experience. We can guide the Electoral Commission as both parties that have interest agree on the matter, agree and align the modalities with the law so that we can proceed from there. If it is the case that upon, audit and perusing, we come to the conclusion that, yes, the processes are aligned, we proceed. If we come to the conclusion that, look, on this basis, there's nothing to declare, let's go back and do a fresh election. It is also something we can agree.
All right.
But to go and be using minorities as a window of demonstrators and oppressors, it doesn't have a place in our electoral laws.
MFA will take on Evans on those, because I think that would be a way of moving the conversation forward. But I just have a quick intervention. You spoke about the Electoral Commission, and you've mentioned it twice. That's why I have to bring it up. You said they were incompetent and all of that. And you say if they were competent and ready, would be able to move the conversation forward. In all of this process, what makes the EC incompetent and unready? What is it about?
Number one, if you have a willing, able, and capable Electoral Commission, the law is the law and is the law. What is not the law cannot be contemplated in the conversation. I have never seen an election where, scanned thing sheets becomes part of election, other than what is stated in the law. And the law states that we should use carbonated thing sheets. My brother Evans will agree with me that in this discussion, we are talking about scanned copies they brought to the table. And Siribo Okweku will also attest to that fact. And so if materials that are foreign and cannot be accepted in our electoral process are being introduced, an able Electoral Commission to disregard those and stick to the law. Number two, do you know that in the last 4 months or 5 months or up to 6 months, if the Electoral Commission was ready to engage, to take the work seriously, would have gone past this conversation. But till today, as we speak, we even have places where even assembly elections are yet to be held in this country. In this country. And we are at this conversation because both the MPP, even though they are in bed with the EC, Ghanaians in general do not trust that
Did you just say the MPP is in bed with the EC? Did you just say that?
Of course, because you see, proprietarily, my brother Evans and his party have interest. That is why they will go and sit down, manufacture pink sheets.
But that is not a fair comment to make. You can't prove that comment.
I saw them. The pink sheets, I saw them. There are disputes. Persons who have purported to have signed are saying they didn't sign those things.
Brother, don't allow this. Don't allow this, please. It doesn't help. It's not healthy for this conversation. It's not healthy for us.
Evans, you just saw me correcting. You just heard me correcting.
Okay. Let's engage. Let's move this conversation further, Mr. Nimako. So on the 4th of January, when the court decided that the EC should go and collate, did it take note of all the other means which they will collate? Did the court agree on the legal means to which the pink sheets will be collated? Or it left that as well to the discretionary powers of the Electoral Commission? I mean, I asked this question because, let me premise the question. I asked this question because you are going strictly by what the court decided. And then Mr. Bundy as well is suggesting that, listen, there are nuances to the declaration and the collation. So let's sit down and discuss. I asked the question, what are we discussing when the court has decided? Then I ask you, then, when the court decided, did it take notice of all the reasons why, in fact, you were in court?
The court did that. The court said, out of the 281 polling stations, you were left with 62 to complete the collation. Go and get it done as Electoral Commission. Ghana Police Service, who chaired the Election Security Task Force, ensure that you provide enough security necessary for the EC to conclude the exercise. Let me make the point. The new Patriotic Party is not in bed with the Electoral Commission. This same Electoral Commission pronounced and announced the presidential result. This same Electoral Commission have gotten election conducted in 275 constituencies that have certain members of parliament. Now, we are left with Ablekuma North, and we must approach it with respect. We, the New Patriotic Party, made copies of all the 281 polling station parliamentary results that were given. When the court gave orders and the EC started working, the pin sheets we provided were all collaborated by the NDC agents and the EC officials.
That is not true.
We did not manufacture any pin sheets. And all of those have been done with the exception of 3. NDC, knowing that they don't have the numbers, is now bringing new issues here and there. In the midst of the game,
Evans, a quick
you want new
intervention.
rules.
Please indulge me here. Please indulge me briefly. Mustafa says some of those people who claim to have signed on now say they did not, in fact, sign that. Where do we take that from there, then?
Hold on. So at the point, the returning officer invited some of the presiding officers. And I can confirm, one gentleman said that all the writings on the sheet were from him, but the signature is not from him. One out of the 62. One. So please, let's find out from the EC, the returning officer, who is mandated to complete the whole collation exercise. Let's find out from him. If he's saying the presiding officer says they did not sign, how many of them? I'm saying one person in front of the media, the police, parties,
right,
said to complete the collation. I mean, how can in the midst of the game, parties want to develop new rules for conduct of an exercise like this?
Mustafa, I know you have any final thoughts. In the next 30 seconds, let's do that and wrap up the conversation. Mustafa.
His candidate accepted the results even before the Electoral Commission would declare. So when he says the same Electoral Commission, I don't understand. When there is an overwhelming defeat, you accept. Your candidate accepted. Now, we are calling for simple. You agree on this discussion that even though the court have directed that the Electoral Commission should go and complete the exercise, the modalities of same, the forum is IPAC. Let's go back to IPAC and discuss details so that we can faction out your pink sheets that you have scanned. We don't know where it's coming from. So that we can discuss this into detail. That is all we are saying. The court didn't direct that we should go and use a modified CI 127 to declare that result. The court asked the Electoral Commission to go and complete the exercise. Now, the modalities have to be discussed. We have to agree and align same with CI 127. Stop inviting the police to perpetuate and join you
gentlemen,
in an illegality you have proprietary interest in.
Right. I think your thoughts have been very well established. All we are hoping for is that Ablekuma North will not turn into another SAL. We don't want that situation. MFR, I mean.
Yeah, of course. Of course, I don't want another SAL. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. We've been talking to Mustafa Bandi, Deputy Director of Operations at the Presidency, and as well, Evans Nemoko, Director of Elections, NPP, as well. Now, you're still watching the AM show, and are you looking for a home in a prime location? Nesta's Homes has got you covered. Our properties in Tema Community 26, just behind Palace Mall, offer a serene atmosphere, easy access to transportation routes and social amenities. Off-plan prices start at $35,000. You can contact 053-101-4440. Of course, the 4 is 3. And 053-101-4447. You can also visit the website www.nestus.com.gh.
Well, let's talk water tanks. I'm sure you know the real secret to water storage. And if you don't, let me tell you, it's silly simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, it's not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is the champion of water tanks. And guess what? It is strong. It is durable. It is built to handle our Ghanaian weather. So rain or shine, Syntex tank has your back. So let's engage in this exercise. please step outside your room. If you check and your tank doesn't have a tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntax Tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. Here's all you have to do. Call this number, 0244 335 168. To buy now, you could also find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntaxgh.com. Syntax Tank, a strong, a tough. We'll be right back with more action right here on the AM Show. This is the AM Show. Welcome back. And don't you forget, the AM Show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. It was the year 1964 when Amar Taidu of blessed memory gave us the dilemma of a ghost. Imagine a ghost facing a dilemma. Well, it's been some 2 years since her passing, May the 31st to be specific, 2023. And in memory of her and her legacy, I'm hosting this morning Fifi Coleman, CEO of Fifi Coleman Productions. He's producer, director, and like you see him in his, what would you call this, a sweatshirt or a dilemma of a ghost. Fifi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. You know one thing that I'll never forget about Amar Taidu?
Tell me.
Her insistence on the spelling of Ayata. If you cross that line,
See, I have a story.
I've seen her do someone something.
I'm in good company. I know someone who knows her. It's been look. I'm in a dilemma right now because we printed some merchandise for to sell
Right.
whatever, and then I just assumed everyone knows that about her, and then the printers came back and they had a double T in there, and I have 1,000 of these things, and I was like, I can't do anything with this. That's why I said, because she would not like. I cannot go out there and do that. So it's not.
About that anyway. And of course, may her beautiful soul rest in peace. She gave us so much. But tell us about the dilemma of a ghost and why you are on this drive. You've done something like this before.
I did it. 2 years ago. We shot Dilemma of a Ghost, and it was purposefully for. She had passed, and there was a lot of conversation around why we waited for her to pass and all of, that whole language about we wait for people. So as a company, that was when we actually started. We changed our whole about, what a mandate is as a company, that we're no longer going to wait for somebody in the industry, playwrights and their works to go off before we come in a hurry to celebrate them. So from there, we did that 2 years ago. It's just in honor of her and her passing. 2 years down the line, we're saying there's a legacy project in her name. We cannot let that name die out of in the Ghanaian public. It has to be a household name. We have to remember her for who she was. This book being transcending borders. Ivy League schools studying this book. Look, if you've gone through the education system in Ghana, at some point you read the Dilemma of a Ghost, or you will read the Dilemma of a Ghost. So what better way to keep the legacy running by just keep refreshing people's memory about the book, its content, and what it stands for.
And the fees right into the narrative. I mean, she was an author, she was a poet, she was a playwright. Where wouldn't you fit her? Even a politician at a point.
She was.
Yes. She contributed to the nation in manifold ways.
Yes.
Now, in honoring her, it also brings the question, our creatives, the question has often been put forward, do we honor them enough, their memory? You are doing this on your own.
Yes.
But generally, do we do enough? I do know that there was a BBC interview that she was, because I interacted with certain people in that setup that, was to come up, that didn't because of some of the circumstances. Do you think we honor our greats enough?
We do not. We do not. And it's inexcusable. But every time you ask, there will be an excuse for, what were you waiting for? What is the general expectation of what needs to be done? Look, as easy as a wall of fame. Let's even take a wall of fame or a museum where we keep the relic, we keep their works and pictures, or great pictures of them and whatever, that people can actually go in. Just even that for them is enough to say that when you go to this space, there is enough for you to learn about ABC, people who had affected Ghana in this way and that way. We do not do that at all. And many a time also, I realize that we are waiting for an authority to come up with the idea of it. You know, and that is where the issue has always been, waiting for the authority, whoever the authority is, I don't know, we become the authority. We are the people celebrating this, but we are the people that benefited from this person's impact to society and the work that they did. What we have taken, like you're saying, personally, she's not, I have, since Amma Taidu, we've done Mohammed Ben Abdallah, we have done Professor Ifwa Sutherland, or we've done, Professor Martin Owusu, we're picking them up. We need to. We're no longer going to.
You're celebrating them while they are still here.
They're still here.
Right.
While they are still here. We have to. We have to.
And let's come to the specifics of The Dilemma of a Ghost and this latest production that you're putting out. What is unique about it? Who is in it?
Oh, so that actually speaks to the uniqueness about it. We're having a blend of the older generation and then the nowadays, as I call them. We have the David Dontos, the Fred Amugis, the Minor O2, Magdalene Fane, of, you know, they above 50s, you know, and then we blend them with the nowadays people, which, you know, has Ajete in there. He plays both places. He plays.
Yes, he's representing both ends,
you know, and all of that. And then we have the Gadede Segbefia, Jacqueline and Sam, Queen Grace Ajete, Mavis Abrokwa, and the rest are Araba Danswa. Myself.
So old school, new school.
Old school, new school, blend them together. What do we see to achieve? We're trying to say that, first of all, the old school still exists and there's work for them. And when the work is appealing enough and is a greater thing, they are always willing to lend their support to it. They nowadays are learning greatly from them. I feel like for them too, it's a legacy thing. I keep on telling them, they're like, listen, we're here, we're talking to them, they're picking advices from us, we're teaching them what to do. One, we are unable to do this again. When we're proud enough to know that we imprinted on some students or some people who are young in the industry who are willing to learn, and so it keeps going and we have great actors out there to carry on of the work. So, you know, that's one of the things to so the newer ones. 2 years ago, it didn't have a bit of the musical that it has to it this year. So that's something different that you're also going to enjoy.
They have a musical twist.
Yeah, there's a musical twist to it a little bit. And then we keep on saying there's a cameo that we just want you to come and see that. Come and see that person who's going to walk on stage. You never thought that we were going to ever do anything play like.
Wow. You've got me salivating. It's quite something to expect. But what are the relevant dates to look at and times?
You're looking at tomorrow the 6th. Saturday the 7th, Sunday the 8th. Tomorrow, because it's a literature book for the GSS students, it's a purely student showing at 3 p.m. Tomorrow 3 p.m. is purely for students. General public can come through, but you are going to come meet a lot of students in auditorium for that 7 p.m. general public. That's tomorrow 3 and 7. Saturday is 4 and 8 p.m. Sunday 4 and 8 p.m. Tickets are going for a cool 200 cedis regular, for 300 cedis VIP. For the students, it's 100 cedis to come see this play. You can get tickets. But dialing the short code is *714*50#.
You'd have to slow down so people can get
People can actually get it. So the tickets will be at *714*50#.
Please repeat it.
*714*50#. You can get a ticket. You want to buy a physical ticket, but Chona Total, Airport Shell, Frankie's Osu, you'll be able to pick up a ticket from there. And when push comes to shove, show up at the National Theatre right at the gate. Someone will sell a ticket to you to enjoy this wonderful.
They can also call 0545 320062. 0545 320062. You say for the students it's 100 cedis, right?
100 cedis, yes.
Okay, so I, together with some students in my back room, will be waiting for.
Yes, please.
And waiting for tickets.
Come in your opinion for two, like the brown there, whatever that's. You're a leader student.
I'm in JHS right now. Anyway, any final words?
The final words to say thank you to you for hosting us. Thank you for helping us promote the work that we're doing. That's the support we've been asking from media, and media is really helping us with this one. We're very grateful. To you out there who's coming to support our productions, we say thank you very much. We'll see you over the weekend. To you who's out there saying that I wish I'd money and I could have gone to see this play, well, I pray you get money to come see this play. and then, enjoy yourself. To the wonderful cast and the crew, I say thank you very much for all the things that, your support, your patience for us to get through where we are now. National Theatre, thank you. We'll see you this weekend.
And that's Fifi Coleman, CEO of Fifi Coleman Productions. He's a producer and director. It's all about, you guessed it, the dilemma of a ghost. All roads lead to the National Theatre, and that is tomorrow, then Saturday, and Sunday as well. Let me ask you, are you ready to dream, dare, and deliver in the world of IT? Well, look no further than the Jackson Institute of Technology, the only NIIT authorized training center in Ghana. At JIT, we provide world-class IT training for individuals and corporate organizations, equipping you with industry-relevant skills in software development, cybersecurity, networking, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, digital marketing, and a whole lot more. We offer globally recognized certifications, practical job-ready training, and flexible hybrid learning options, which allow you to study online or on-site. Now, our expert instructors ensure hands-on learning experiences that prepare you for success in today's digital world. It's conveniently located on the Ring Road near Circle in the heart of Accra's Central Business District. If you're in Kumasi, it's at the Jackson Educational Complex headquarters, Ayuduase near the KNUST. JIT provides easy access for students and corporate clients, and our state-of-the-art auditorium is also available for corporate events, seminars, and training sessions. If you're minded to get registered or take advantage of the packages, just call or WhatsApp these numbers: 0596 996 037 or 0596 996 038, or finally 0552 714 635. You can check out our website www.jit.edu.gh. JIT, your gateway to a thriving IT career. Do stay. We'll be right back.
You're still watching the AM show, and this morning we're throwing the spotlight on 5 award recipients from the just-ended Ghana Comedy Awards, designed to celebrate the growth and evolution of the Ghanaian comedy scene. And joining me in studio is Papa Yao Atamle, and as well we're joined via Zoom by Lexi the Comic, of course stand-up comedian, and Obi Amponsa. I don't know why I'm laughing already, just by introducing or saying their names. But gentlemen, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me here.
You look absolutely dashing in white.
I'm an award winner, so you know.
You're an award winner. We're not equal.
Oh no! Come on. You got my name right. This is actually the first time I'm having someone pronounce my Atamle name like so perfect.
So I rehearsed it like
You
3
did?
times in the back studio before I came on.
That explains it.
How has it been for you since you started and then you have won an award? I mean, how's it been for you so far?
It's been beautiful. It's been beautiful. I've been touring with the award. I sleep with the award. I eat with the award. I go to church with the award because it's never been easy.
It's not easy to make people laugh.
You understand? Being on stage and cracking jokes, sometimes it doesn't really end well. And people bashing you in your DMs. I have curses. You know, people curse me in my DMs. Like,
Oh, they don't know that you're playing?
No, you see, like when every joke has a victim. So when it happens that you are the victim, you don't care what I do, whether I'm a comedian or whatever I am. Like I just giving it to me. So going through all those experiences, having this tough skin for them and winning an award, it's beautiful.
So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Very well done.
I'm happy.
Let's go on Zoom and Obi. Obi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so share. On your social media page, you're not giving us chance, crowd. Abroche has collected you, Papa.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, the accent is accenting and everything. How you doing?
I'm very well, and it's good to connect with you. Congratulations on your award.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Like I said in my winning speech, I should have won that award last year because I believe I worked a lot harder than Lexi the Comic last year, but he won the stand-up comedy of the year. And this year, deservedly, I have it, so I'm happy for it.
Congratulations, very well deserved. Lexi, can you hear me? Good morning and congratulations to you as well.
Good morning.
Oh.
The last time I saw you walk at the reception to the car park, you looked a little taller. How are you feeling about your award? Sorry?
You made me laugh.
Of course.
I'm doing good.
Okay.
So
I mean,
far, so good.
you gentlemen have put in the work. We've seen it from the beginning up to today. I mean, Obi has been very frank and upfront with it, saying that he thought he should have won that award even earlier than this year, but it's come anyway. So far, would you say that the Ghanaian comedy culture is really, we're finally accepting it? Is this what you'd say? I'll come to you, Lexi. Let's start with you.
I would say, yeah, we've come a long way, and it's paying off. Looking at backdating to the time we started, and now I would say we've come a long way, you know, in terms of even the money that we charge for shows, the numbers that show up at our shows, and now we have an award to crown it all. Comedy has made us like meet people that I really wouldn't have met. Now Ghanaians are ready to accept, like they are not that they are ready, they are already accepting us. So I'll say our hard work and our input into this industry is yielding the results.
Okay.
We want, as we speak now, I'm not in the country, I'm touring South Africa with comedy. Last night I did my headline show in Mabone.
Okay.
Comedy night here. So
How did that go? How did that
I didn't hear you.
How did that go?
Yeah, it went very well. It was so good. The feeling of you performing to strangers, I mean foreigners. The jokes might sound funny to Ghanaians, but as to whether it will sound funny to people from different nationalities, a different ball game. But it was a great time. I did a little over 20 minutes with them, and it was super good.
Then more congratulations to you. Obi, let me come to you. I mean, since you've done comedy locally and now you're actually even doing it outside of the country, what so far has shocked you most?
Is that question for me?
Of course. It's for Obi, if that's Obi asking.
I'm so sorry, guys, but I'm trying to adjust my camera. Sorry, I'm not technically savvy with it. Right now we are right now I'm in the United States doing comedy. So far, it's been great. I always say that Ghana is a talent building country where if you work hard enough and then you are exposed to other cultures, you're able to try. And that's what's happening right now in our comedy industry. I've actually entered a competition called the Ultimate Comic Challenge, where I've progressed to the next round, which is the round 2. In fact, it's a comedy show with about 16 comedians for every round, and they choose 6 people to qualify. And so far, I've qualified for the first round. And from the first round, I'm going to round 2, which will be on June 20th.
Okay.
It just goes to say that hard work yields results. And when you realize that your comedy is being consumed by people who haven't even been to Ghana before, you're able to publicize the nation, to put the nation out there for other people to acknowledge the country you're coming from. It's just amazing. And it's a good feeling that we're all enjoying it. I'm really grateful for this journey. Just like Lexi said, it's just amazing to have this kind of feel in an environment like that.
Right. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, Papa Yao, you have started, how many years ago did you start this?
5 years ago.
5 years ago. How's the journey really been? You've just been telling me about some of the experiences, but for the craft and the business of it, how's it been so far?
Yeah, with mine, I've been so lucky. You know, I came in the era where Ghanaians were accepting stand-up comedy. So, and you know, my seniors, I mean, Obi Amponsa, Lexi, DKB had already paved the way for us. So, around my time, Ghanaians were actually accepting comedy. So, I actually did my first special, even my first year.
Okay.
Yeah, so just big shout out to our big bosses, Lexi, Obi, DKB, Foster Romanos. They did well. It was just around that time. So, there had been challenges, but it wasn't as compared to them.
Okay.
Understand?
Yeah.
Now, the challenges will actually dwell on the fact that we need consistency in support. I mean,
what kind of support?
I mean, from corporate, entities. We need support when it comes to our events. Now we push in our money, our own money, and this is the only thing we do. You understand? And we need huge money to invest in our craft to, bring out nice productions. You understand? So now it's just our money. We can't invest much. We don't really have like big sponsors on our shows. So that has actually been our biggest challenge.
How are you assuring investors, as you're calling out for them, that when they put their money, of course, it's not philanthropy.
Yeah.
So when they put their money in, they must make some money back. What measures are you, the comedians as well, putting in place so that an investor is really motivated to want to invest and also reap their...
First of all, like we've gathered, or we have like good materials, first of all. We've gathered the numbers. Last year, December, we had the Bukom Arena, 4,000 capacity.
Yeah.
It was filled by us, our faces. You understand? National Theatre, 1,005, we are filling it. Snap Cinema, UPS Auditorium, we are filling all those places. And this is what our peers, the musicians they've been doing. And they have sponsors on there. If we can actually give you the numbers. And now we are into influencing as well.
Yeah?
Come on.
You're making some money from that as well.
You understand. And we have the numbers online. So,
Okay.
so if this is what the investors want, we have it.
Okay. What do you put in your craft? Do you write it? Or you write?
You have to write it. You have to actually brainstorm, write it. You are performing to an audience, you understand? You have to take them on a story, on a journey, you understand? And now storytelling is, everyone wants to listen to a story. They will listen to you. So now we put a lot, we travel to other, villages, regions to actually know their culture.
Okay, so you can put it in your craft. Do you have any events coming up anytime soon?
Yes, we are on 14 June. We are at Zen Gardens for, I think it's a Father's Day comedy show by Lexi the Comic. I'm performing, Lexi is performing, DKB is performing. All the comedians, all the award winners are performing.
It's a star-studded show.
14 June. Yeah, and we are planning on going to Bukom Arena in December.
Okay. We look forward to that. It's been done, and so I think it can still be done again. But Lexi, so I hear that you have a comedy show coming up on the 14th of June. Tell me about it.
So the Lexi brand has about 4 major shows it does in a year, and we are doing the 3rd one for the year. That is the Laugh with Dad. I realize that fathers are not highly appreciated on Father's Day, so the least we can do is actually give them a reason to laugh. And I feel like if you cannot buy your father anything, because one of the biggest struggle of getting a father a gift is getting a father a gift. You don't know what to really buy them, but at least putting a smile on their face is something that I would say is priceless. So on the 14th of June, we are at Zen Gardens. Felicia Osei, DKB, Papaya, Kojo PJ, Ojo. Reynald the Gentleman is giving us music. The band playing on the night is The Gentleman.
Okay.
And also, when you pay, the rate is 200 Ghana cedis. When you buy the ticket for 200 Ghana cedis, Zen Gardens is treating you with a sumptuous meal. So that night you're not buying food. All you need is for you to buy your drink, and you're okay to go enjoy a good comedy. So just buy your dad 200 Ghana cedis worth of tickets, and the rest is just history. You just going to have a good time. To buy your ticket, you just have to dial *714 *800 hash.
Okay.
*714 *800 *714 *800 hash, and you would get your ticket. Now we're in the digital house, you can buy it through Momo.
Absolutely.
And you'll be straight on the night. I want to say a very big thank you to my sponsors. Big shout outs to FVP Rice and also Zen Gardens for partnering with me on this one. And also Asempa Fie, KGS Graphics, Simplicity Brand, 247 Zara Man Boutique, and Empawera. The beautiful thing is some fathers will walk home with hampers from some of my sponsors, and that night we are honoring some father figures in the society like Uncle Bo White, Fred Amugi, Bolare, and a few other CEOs that we've heard of their companies but don't know the faces.
That's really behind it. So, this looks good. On 14th, I'm certain that you're going to get all the support that you need. Obi, finally, so this competition that you're in, how can we support?
Yeah, prayers. Prayers. I did a lot of prayers because it's not easy. First of all, the accent is tough. For them to understand their accent before they laugh at the jokes is not easy. So Ghanaians, to a prayerful country, keep praying for your boy. If I progress to round 2, it's about 4 rounds more. And every set I have to do a new set of jokes. So it's not easy. It's not easy, my dear.
Okay.
Yeah. So prayers is needed. Prayers are needed.
Okay.
And the usual support. Yeah.
Okay.
Put in the work. Let's see how.
I'm certain for prayers there. As you've said, Ghana is a supporting country, so you get all of that. But finally, Papaya, we're wrapping the conversation.
Yeah.
So you are also going to be part of the 14th June program.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We look forward to see you. Share your social media handles or something.
Yeah, and before that, also we run a comedy club every Thursday.
Okay.
At the 2927 Comedy Club inside Tesano. And tonight is happening, and we are roasting the politicians. That is tonight's edition. So wherever you are, just find your way to 2927 pub. It's around Tesano Harvest Chapel.
Okay.
So on social media, you can find me, Papaya or Timely, everywhere. Everywhere is Papaya or Timely.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us in the studio. And
me.
thank you, gentlemen, as well, for joining, all the way from South Africa and the United States of America. You're still watching the AM show. Please stay for the last leg of the show. Much for staying with us. But before we go, this week's installment of Ghana Growth, please, with MasterCard.
I realized there are a lot of women in the rural areas. They are not economically empowered. It saddened my heart that people are lying down over there without doing anything. Growing up, my mom was a baker, so we were involved in baking activities in Japan. My mind was after school, I have to set up a bakery. But when I went for my first degree, we went for community sensitization. I realized that the women over there, they are not economically empowered and they are just giving birth. It worries me a lot. And I realized when I want to engage in baking activities, it will be very difficult because baking is capital intensive. And one thing that excites me is they have raw materials that are used for soap making, especially the palm kernel oil. So when I came back, I thought it wise to go and learn how to start making soup. So I went to the communities and we used the raw materials that they have to start making soup. I started the training project in 2014, but there was challenges, how to buy materials, how to move to the rural communities. It was a big challenge. I decided to start producing some of the soaps to sell and take a percentage of my profits to buy materials and move to the rural areas to empower the less privileged and the women, especially the youth. I needed an assistant. I can't produce alone during the production, so I have employed 2 permanent workers that I paid monthly. During the weekends, you see us producing, but the weekdays, they will go to the market to sell the products.
Chama kumano yin kumano ndekawa tagbara kama vai na mo lestome kuyam uyom yameva ego tagbro na be afia majalo.
She's a good person. Working with her, I've learned a lot from her.
When I started the soap production, it has given me an extra income. From 2014 up to now, I have trained about 500 women. And the women that I train to, it has empowered them economically. They are on their own. And I have one success story that one of the women, through the production of the soap, she is able to send her daughter to tertiary, and she has successfully completed.
Vasura jala wa jingwama denia kake ni toma vale wala kunyesi fia jingwama to ni toma vale wala kunyesi danemi wene ne mala ne ha me direra me tinkpo na
Through the salary she has been giving us, I no more go out stressed too much to pay some bills. She introduced more jobs opportunities to us.
The Ghana Growth Project is a good initiative because I think it's in relation with what I am doing to empower the youth and the less privileged in society. In a few years' time, I want to set up a bakery because the bakery was my initial plan before I diverted to the soap making. And I don't want to leave the soap making aspect. There is money over there. I want to have a big soap making industry cut across all regions so that the less privileged will have access to be working and get money that they can use to support themselves.
I would like to appreciate her effort because through her, I've learned a lot. She'll continue her good work. God bless her.
If I can do it, you can also do it. My name is Florentini. I'm a soap maker. Ghana Grove's Hope Day.
Ghana Grows Hope Day.